On my wife's birthday, I rushed back from out of town overnight, but when I opened the door, it was my male assistant wearing my bathrobe. Mr. Liu, I came to report work to President Jiang. I accidentally got caught in the rain, so I took a shower. Please don't misunderstand. What's there to explain? My wife, also in a bathrobe, walked out of the bathroom with a look of disdain. Her eyes filled with disgust as she glanced at me. Aren't you supposed to be on a business trip? Why are you back? I paused for a moment, shook my head, and chuckled softly. It's nothing, just came back to pick up some documents. I casually tossed the carefully chosen birthday gift into the trash, then sent a message to my lawyer, help me draft a divorce agreement. The two of them were openly affectionate, completely disregarding the fact that I was still standing right there. I walked into the study with an expressionless face. When I came out with the documents, the two of them were already embracing on the sofa, and my assistant Su Jiwen's hand had already slipped under the hem of my wife's bathrobe. Only after I came out did he reluctantly withdraw his hand, even provocatively bringing it to his nose to sniff. Then, with a look of intoxication, he spoke to me. Sorry, President Liu, President Jiang said she was feeling a bit cold after her shower, so I was just helping her warm up. Please don't misunderstand. What a ridiculous excuse. Before I could speak, my wife Jiang Yan shot me an impatient glare. Aren't you here to get the documents? Since you have them, why aren't you leaving? Do I have to kick you out? I felt as if I couldn't breathe. When did she start becoming like this? I remember when we first got married, even if I was just going on a long trip, she would give me all sorts of reminders and see me off to the airport, reluctant to part. But now, even when I'm just grabbing a document, she thinks I'm being slow. All right, I'll leave right away. I turned around, intending to leave just like that, but Su Jiwen suddenly spoke up provocatively. Mr. Liu, remember to close the door. I'm afraid the commotion later might disturb the neighbors. I frowned, turned my head, and stared at him intently. After a long while, I smiled. Please be more careful with your movements. This sofa is quite expensive. I was the one who started the provocation, yet the moment I spoke, he looked aggrieved. Mr. Liu, you've misunderstood. I'm going to help Mr. Jiang with his workout later. So, Jiang Yan was also filled with anger. Lu Ziming, what do you mean by that? Just kidding, why so worked up? I chuckled with a half smile, but deep down, I was in agony. Qin Yan shot me a fierce glare. If you have any issues, come at me directly. What's the point of always picking on Jiwen? Su Jiwen quickly stood up. I'm sorry, Manager Jiang, please don't argue because of me. It's my fault. I'll leave right away. No need. Jiang Yan pressed him against her chest, then turned to glare at me with a cold expression. Can you stop being so dramatic every single day? Even fetching a file has to cause trouble. Aren't you tired of it? I glanced at him and, in the end, turned away expressionlessly. The moment the door closed behind me, I felt a dull ache in my chest, so intense that I couldn't help but bend over, gasping for breath. 5 years, in just 5 years, the relationship between my wife and I has gone from being inseparable at the beginning to this current state. Is marriage really the tomb of love? After a long while, I came to my senses, ignored the moans coming from inside the room, and strode away. When I arrived at the airport, I received a message from Jiang Yan. Look at yourself, what a mess. Jiwen came all the way in the rain to report work to me. What's wrong with me showing concern for him? As a man, can't you be more magnanimous? I stared blankly at my phone. Before I could even reply, her impatient call came through. Are you blind? When I text you, hurry up and apologize to Jiwen. You've made him so upset he's in no mood at all. On the other end of the phone, Su Jiwen pretended to sigh. I'm sorry, sis, I'm really hurt. Taking a deep breath, I tried my best to calm myself down. As long as you're having fun, too. This kind of thing has happened before. Ever since Su Jiwen joined the company and was specially recruited by Jiang Yan as her assistant, her heart has unconditionally leaned toward this young man in his early 20s. Every time I had a conflict with Su Jiwen because of their excessive contact, she always showed favoritism in various ways, and in the end, the result was almost always me apologizing to Su Jiwen. Half a month ago, I needed to discuss work-related matters with her, but as soon as I entered, I saw the two of them walking out of the break room with disheveled clothes. Through the gap between them, I clearly saw that the bed in the break room was messy. Obviously something had happened. No, this lounge is usually off-limits even to me, her legitimate husband. If I want to step in and rest, I stood there frozen, wanting to vent my anger, but the words caught in my throat, leaving me speechless. Facing my puzzled gaze, Su Jiwen smiled casually. Don't misunderstand, Mr. Liu, Ms. Jiang has been working too hard and has some back discomfort, so I was just giving her a massage. I wanted to avoid misunderstanding, but here they were, a man and a woman alone in a room, with the bed in disarray and their clothes disheveled. It's easy to be misunderstood, isn't it? Afterwards, I also subtly brought up the matter with Jiang Yan. I said that, after all, she is a married woman and should keep some distance from the opposite sex, but Jiang Yan was furious upon hearing this. What do you mean? I work so hard every day, and Jiwen was just kindly giving me a massage. How did it turn into something else when it came out of your mouth? Is your mind filled with nothing but dirty thoughts all day long? I couldn't help but retort, what do I mean? Is it appropriate for a man and a woman to be alone together in a room? What would people think if they found out? Jiang Yan became even angrier, started smashing things, and said that I was suspecting her. The two of us erupted into a fierce argument. From her behavior at that time, I suspected that she must have something to hide, otherwise she wouldn't have been so agitated. However, lacking evidence and still having feelings for her, as the days passed, I pretended as if nothing had happened until the project was finalized. The day before I went on a business trip to inspect the site, the company held a farewell banquet to celebrate. During the banquet, Su Jiwen got completely drunk, and Jiang Yan, as my wife, instead of thinking about taking care of me, sat beside Su Jiwen, shielding him from drinks in every way. Seeing this scene, my colleagues all looked at me, some with mockery, but more with sympathy. I pretended not to notice and continued to warmly invite everyone to eat and drink. Perhaps because of my indulgence, after the gathering, Jiang Yan volunteered to drive Su Jiwen home and didn't return until the next day. When she came home early the next morning, she explained to me that she had only taken care of him for the night and that nothing had happened. Yet, the missing stockings on her legs and the numerous small kiss marks on her chest all hinted at the intensity of the night's events, but I still chose to ignore it. I comforted myself, thinking it might just be a mosquito bite, but everything that happened tonight made me feel like a fool. Time and again, I believed, time and again, I forgave. What I got in return was not understanding, but even more relentless escalation. She actually brought her lover straight home. That was the marital home I had worked so hard to buy when we got married. It was the nest of love that symbolized our romance. She actually brought another man to stay with her. Even if I were the most foolish person in the world, I could no longer convince myself at this moment that they truly had nothing going on. Back then, from dating to marriage, throughout that long relationship, I was always the one making concessions. After all, relationships inevitably involve friction and arguments. In a marriage, someone must be willing to take a step back. Since she is unwilling, then I will. Yet my repeated concessions only made her push for more. In that case, there is no need to retreat any further. I chose to leave. 3. Jiang Yan and I met during our university years. She was quite a well-known figure on campus at the time. Since her parents divorced when she was young, she grew up with her mother. Perhaps because she was busy with work, her mother's discipline wasn't particularly strict, providing her with ample material comforts instead. This also made her become willful, capricious, and unreasonable, with almost no one willing to get close to someone like her, including me, the kind of person who gives teachers a headache. I naturally kept my distance, but for some reason, perhaps because I was seen by everyone as an exemplary student with both good character and academic excellence, Jiang Yan set her sights on me. Not only did she come up with all sorts of creative ways to invite me out for meals every day, on weekends, she would even take me out for a drive, and gifts for various holidays never stopped coming. Although I declined them all, she remained persistent. I asked her about the reason for this. Her answer was, "Because you're a good person. Others either look down on me or covet my money, only you are different. I just want to have a normal friend." That fleeting moment of loneliness made my heart ache. I think perhaps everyone has misunderstood her. Her willfulness and capriciousness are merely a suit of armor she wears, covered in thorns, but in reality, her inner self is also soft. She longs to connect with others. Thinking of this, I smiled and nodded at her. "All right then, starting today, I'm your friend. Oh, and by the way, my name is Me." Jiang Yan smiled, and for the first time, I realized how beautiful a girl could look when she cried with a smile. From that day on, we became the best of friends. We studied together, went to the library, and took walks on the playground. She also took me off campus to go racing, horseback riding, and ice skating. Our friends thought I was crazy, and even the teachers advised me to stay away from such a bad student. Everyone thought Jiang Yan was just playing around with me, and that she'd get bored once she'd had enough, but I could tell she was genuinely guiding me. The more I got to know her, the more my heart ached for her. Despite her wealth, she was deeply lonely. I never had a father since I was young, and I didn't even have a single true friend by my side. She deserves to be loved. For her sake, I even gave up my qualification for guaranteed graduate admission and graduated alongside her. Jiang Yan was very grateful and invited me to work at her mother's company. It was also this opportunity that allowed me to meet her mother, that famous strong woman. In the villa of her home, Mrs. Jiang held my hand, tears streaming down her face. "Xiao Lu, thank you for always being by Xiao Yan's side. She has really changed a lot, and I can tell she likes you very much. I haven't been a good mother. I beg you to stay by her side. I just want her to be happy." She is a great mother, I couldn't refuse a mother's concern for her daughter. Besides, I did have a fondness for Jiang Yan, so I accepted her invitation and stayed at her company, but later I found out that Jiang's mother had already been diagnosed with terminal liver cancer at that time. Knowing that my days are numbered, the only thing I can't let go of is my dear daughter. On her deathbed, she called me to her bedside, held my hand, and earnestly pleaded with me to take good care of her daughter. Only after I made the promise did she pass away with a smile, to fulfill my promise to Mother Jiang. I married Jiang Yan. Jiang Yan dislikes a busy work life. Although she is nominally the CEO, almost all the company's affairs, big and small, are handled by me. I bore this burden without complaint, for at that time, I truly loved her to the core. Whenever I worked overtime late into the night, exhausted, she would gently massage me and act coquettishly in my ear. "Honey, you've worked hard," while massaging. She comforted me. "It's okay, honey, when you can't work anymore in the future, I'll protect you. I'll never let anyone hurt you." But now, she herself has become the one who hurts me the most. For, when I returned from my business trip, half a month had already passed. The company hosted a welcome-back banquet for me. At the dinner table, Su Jiwen, who had arrived late, sat down quite naturally next to Jiang Yan, in the empty seat that had been specially reserved for him. The previously lively atmosphere instantly turned cold. Everyone fell silent, their eyes all fixed on me. In the past, I would have been absolutely furious, but now, I just smiled and casually found an empty seat to sit down. From beginning to end, I didn't say a single unnecessary word. Everyone else present breathed a sigh of relief, but in truth, there was no need for them to worry at all, because during this business trip, I had come to terms with things. I no longer cared. Just as everyone was calling for drinks, Su Jiwen suddenly stood up. "President Liu, you truly are the backbone of the company. This successful collaboration owes at least half of its success to you. I toast you with this glass, thanking you for bringing such significant profits to the company." With that, he tilted his head back and drained the glass in one gulp. "I'll finish mine, you can drink as you please." I sat in the chair, with no intention of moving at all. Seeing this, Jiang Yan was displeased. "Jiwen is toasting you, and you're just holding your glass without moving. Are you disrespecting him, or are you disrespecting me?" I calmly glanced over. "So you're already covering for him?" "I just took some cephalosporin, I can't drink." "Who are you trying to fool?" Jiang Yan didn't believe it. "You knew there was a welcome banquet today, so you deliberately took cephalosporin, didn't you?" I sighed, feeling unusually exhausted by her unreasonable tantrums. I picked up my chopsticks, just about to eat something to fill my stomach, when Jiang Yan suddenly slammed her hand on the table. "Me, are you deaf or what?" The private room instantly fell silent, so quiet you could hear a pin drop. Everyone stared at us with awkward and tense expressions, not daring to breathe too loudly. Just then, Su Jiwen spoke up. "Oh, President Jiang, don't be angry." He stood up, holding a glass of wine, and walked over to me. "President Liu, whether you drink this glass of wine today or not, you have to drink it. I'm sincerely apologizing to you. You can't leave me in such an awkward position, can you?" I looked up at him with a half smile. "I'm on cephalosporin. Can't you understand human speech?" With that, I directly raised my hand and knocked over the wine glass he handed me. The wine immediately spilled all over him. At this point, Jiang Yan completely lost her composure. "Are you out of your mind?" Jiang Yan rushed over. "Do you think you can act with impunity just because you've closed a deal?" "Act with impunity?" I shook my head and chuckled softly. "Think whatever you want." My attitude only made her feel more provoked. She raised her hand, picked up a bottle nearby, poured herself a full glass of wine, and held it out in front of me. "You wouldn't drink a toast from Jiwen, but you can't refuse mine, can you?" Her gaze was sharp as a blade, her tone dripping with threat. "If you don't drink it, pack your things and get out right now. Starting tomorrow, you won't need to come to the office anymore." The crowd erupted in an uproar. Everyone knows that this company has survived until today, and I played a significant role in that. Unfortunately, Jiang Yan didn't seem to see this point clearly. Facing her aggressiveness, I smiled, and in front of everyone, took out the resignation letter I had prepared long ago. "I won't drink, this is my resignation letter. Starting tomorrow, I won't be working with all of you anymore." 5. After hearing my words, Jiang Yan froze, her eyes filled with disbelief. Perhaps she thought that, like before, I would choose to compromise, would choose to give in. What a pity. Remember to sign, or things will get ugly in the end. I spoke hoarsely, getting up to leave. Su Jiwen grabbed my arm. "Mr. Liu, why go to such lengths? Mr. Jiang was just joking with you. Why get so angry? Get out of my way." I shook off his hand forcefully. Other colleagues also came forward to try and dissuade him. "Mr. Liu, on such a happy day, why make things so unpleasant?" "Exactly, you and Mr. Jiang are husband and wife. What can't be talked out?" Before I could speak, Jiang Yan snapped coldly. "Don't stop him. Let him go. Do you think threatening me will make me scared? Su Jiwen started playing the good guy again, stepping forward to pull me away. President Liu, don't be like this. He moved closer to me, suddenly lowering his voice with a sarcastic tone. Your wife is so sexy. I was instantly furious and shoved him away, but a hint of triumph clearly flashed in his eyes. Ouch! Su Jiwen let out a cry and fell to the ground. Seeing this, Jiang Yan was so furious that her whole body trembled. She rushed over and shoved me away. Are you trying to die today? Everyone, get out. At her command, everyone immediately breathed a sigh of relief and quickly left. Even Su Jiwen, who had wanted to stay, was driven out. When the room was left with just the two of us, Jiang Yan's face was grim. What exactly are you trying to do? In front of so many people, are you trying to completely humiliate me? I couldn't help but let out a scoff. You know what it means to lose face, but when you made me lose face, why didn't you think of that? Jiang Yan frowned, as if recalling something, her tone filled with dissatisfaction. Is it because of Jiwen again? Didn't I already tell you that I really have nothing to do with him? Can you stop being so petty all the time? In an instant, the taut string in my mind snapped completely. The pent-up emotions finally erupted at this moment. Yes, I am petty and narrow-minded. I roared at her. I can't stand my wife being ambiguous with another man all day long. I can't stand a man showing up in my house wearing my bathrobe, flirting with my wife. I can't stand a pretty boy constantly provoking me right in front of my face. All the words that had been bottled up inside me for so long poured out as if in a cathartic release, yet I didn't feel the slightest bit of relief. Instead, my heart grew even heavier, more oppressive, and more painful. Sure enough, when you tear open a wound that has never fully healed, it only bleeds more. Jiang Yan froze. She seemed not to have expected me to suddenly erupt. After a long silence, she slowly began to speak. I thought you never minded. I sneered. Never minded, as long as one is a normal person with normal thinking. When it comes to such matters, the idea of his beloved wife openly and shamelessly being intimate with another man, he couldn't even bear the thought, let alone whether he minded or not. No man would be okay with that, except for me. I don't mind now, because my heart has been shattered into pieces by repeated disappointments, or rather, I no longer love. I took a deep breath and gave her a bitter smile. Sorry, I lost my composure. I'll give you the divorce agreement in a while, so remember to sign it. 6. Jiang Yan's chest heaved, her eyes filled with anger and disbelief. Do you even know what you're saying? I took a deep breath and nodded. Jiang Yan, let's get a divorce. Saying these words, I instantly felt all the frustration and oppression in my heart vanish without a trace. The thought of divorce had crossed my mind before, but now, I could finally say it out loud. Jiang Yan stared at me intently. After a long while, as if she had thought of something, a cold smile suddenly appeared at the corner of her mouth. You're just a small sales manager in my company. Without me, who would even look at a piece of trash like you? Trash? My already battered heart was torn open once more by these words. With a bitter smile, I shook my head, unwilling to waste any more words, and turned to leave on my own. Don't forget how you begged me to marry you back then. If you're thinking about divorce, you'd better not regret it. Jiang Yan's voice sounded from behind. She went to keep Su Jiwen company, and stayed there for a whole week. I packed up everything in the house and called a courier to send it away. I called up some old friends I used to be close with and we went out for a drink. Upon learning of my plans, my friends expressed their heartfelt blessings, as they had all witnessed the injustices I endured at the company over the years. After a satisfying meal, I dragged my drowsy head back home. Lying on the sofa, I immediately spotted the wedding photo hanging on the wall. Just then, Jiang Yanqin posted a new moment on WeChat. In the photo, she was hugging and kissing Su Jiwen, her face full of happiness and sweetness. Congratulations to my boy for successfully landing ashore. Sighing, I casually turned off my phone and then placed the pre-drafted divorce agreement on the dining table. Early the next morning, I went to the company to process my resignation. To put it bluntly, it was just a formality. In that company, my authority had long been stripped away, so much so that when the HR director received my resignation letter, she didn't even ask a single question and approved it directly. After it was done, she even called me hypocritically. What a pity, Director Liu. We were all looking forward to having wedding candies from you and Director Jiang. Listening to her sarcastic tone, I felt no emotion at all and replied with a smile, no need to rush, you'll get to have them soon. I hadn't even stepped out of the company gates when Jiang Yan called me, right after I hung up. Stop it, you've gone too far. I've rejected your resignation request. You'd better back off, or I'll make sure you get nothing, not even a penny, and you'll be out of the Su group. I gave a cold smile. After 7 years together, could she really believe that I'm just a gold-digging freeloader, someone who can be easily manipulated with money, do whatever you want, I don't care. With that, I immediately blocked and deleted her. The world instantly fell silent. I submitted my resignation again, and this time Jiang Yan agreed without hesitation. After receiving the resignation letter, I left the company without looking back. 7. Before leaving, the company's vice president called. Mr. Liu, are you really resigning? Yes. The vice president's emotions grew intense. What about the project? You know Mr. Jiang never handles things. If this project fails, it will be a fatal blow to the company. Can you wait until the project is implemented? Sorry, I sighed. I've already secured the project. As for how to do it and when to do it, that's up to you. But the company isn't just one person, it can go on without anyone. I cut him off. The vice president hesitated for a long time, then finally let out a deep sigh. In short, Mr. Liu, I've always felt very fortunate to work with you, and I hope we'll have the chance to collaborate again in the future. I didn't react at all, just gave a few perfunctory responses. Since I had decided to resign, I had no intention of having any further involvement with this company that belonged to Jiang Yan. That night, I slept exceptionally soundly. No need to worry about whether Jiang Yan feels unwell after her social engagements, nor about her mood, and no need to worry about the company's various affairs, big or small. Early in the morning, I was woken up by a series of urgent phone calls. When I answered the phone, Jiang Yan's angry accusations came through the receiver. Lu Ziming, what's going on with you? The project you're in charge of is signing in a few days. You'd better be on time at the scene. I shook my head, finally coming to my senses, and forced myself to endure the impatience as I moved the phone a bit farther away. Only after she finally finished scolding did I slowly speak up. General Manager Jiang really has a short memory. If I remember correctly, I already resigned yesterday, and you agreed to it as well, so what does this project you mentioned have to do with me? Lu Ziming, Jiang Yan suddenly raised her voice, her tone filled with anger and warning. I'm warning you, don't force me to take action. Although I approved your resignation, the handover process isn't complete yet. If you don't show up, I have the right to sue you directly. I simply won't fall for that trick, and I replied coldly, don't try to use that to pressure me. If you had actually read my resignation letter carefully, you wouldn't be wasting time talking nonsense with me here. With that, I hung up the phone directly. I picked up my luggage, ready to bid farewell to this house where I had lived for 5 years. As soon as I stepped out the door, Jiang Yan's car sped over from the distance. After getting out of the car, seeing the suitcase in my hand, her brows furrowed. What are you packing for? Where are you planning to go? Without any expression, I spoke in an extremely flat tone, just going out to clear my head. Jiang Yan's brows furrowed even tighter, and she kept muttering under her breath, what time is it, and you still have the mood to go traveling? I think you really don't want to work anymore, do you? Report to the company this afternoon. There's a whole pile of things waiting for you to handle. Got it, I nodded. But my heart was filled with sarcasm. Is her face more important than everything else? My inner conviction grew even stronger. There wasn't much affection anyway. It would be better to throw it away early. Jiang Yan walked in without a word, and a few minutes later, she came out holding a document. You're home all day, can't you clean up? Look at the mess. After scolding a few more words, she left without looking back. I know in my heart that she probably didn't even notice the divorce papers on the table. Her mind isn't on this home, so she wouldn't notice if something extra appeared. I stood there, silently watching her drive away. It seemed even the heavens couldn't bear to watch. At that moment, the sky suddenly darkened, and a fierce wind swept in with torrential rain, futilely trying to wash away this love, now tainted with filth and mud. What bad luck. I don't find anything romantic about this sudden downpour. I open an umbrella and slowly walk away. 8. The plane landed at dusk. The sunset glow was beautiful, weaving dreamlike hues across the sky. I had just stepped out of the airport when someone in light-colored sportswear approached me. Hello, are you Mr. Lu Ziming? I've been sent by the company to pick you up. Thank you for your trouble, and please, just call me by my name. I nodded and sincerely thanked the young girl. Okay, Brother Ziming, my name is Su Zishuan, and I'll be your work assistant from now on. Please take care of me. Su Zishuan extended her hand, her crescent-shaped eyebrows shimmering with a gentle, approachable charm that made her seem easy to get along with. This attitude, however, made me feel a bit reserved. My hand just went a bit numb from sitting too long. How about we go grab a meal together? I smiled, shifting the topic. Su Zishuan stuck out her tongue, not minding at all. Sure. I chose a nearby restaurant. While Su Zishuan got up to go to the restroom, Jiang Yan called. I hung up immediately, but she was persistent. I leisurely answered the call, and Jiang Yan's angry voice immediately came through from the other end. Lu Ziming, what do you mean by this? Why didn't you come to today's meeting? Once you leave the Su group, you'll be nothing but a rat scurrying in the streets. I replied calmly, Thank you for your concern, President Jiang. I have no idea where she gets her confidence from. Who is it that she owes for gaining the trust of the shareholders and achieving her current status? It was my all-night drinking and socializing that won me so many projects. Now that we've parted ways, with just the meager salary she gives me, I could easily find another job. She was silent for a moment, her tone calm yet cold. Think it through, you're the one leaving, so I won't give you an extra cent in severance pay. Stop, I interrupted her words. I chose to resign myself, according to the labor contract. I'll receive exactly what I'm entitled to. Perhaps my tone was too calm, causing Jiang Yan on the other end of the phone to become angry. Her words laced with overt and covert sarcasm. Lu Ziming, you need to think this through. You're not a young man anymore. Ultimately, you just haven't recognized yourself clearly. It was I who took you in, and that's how you got to where you are today. Now it seems I've given you too much face. It's not too late for you to regret now. Otherwise, when you end up begging on the streets, don't blame me for not warning you. Ridiculous, I sneered, too lazy to waste any more time on her. The one who should recognize themselves clearly is you. Her perspective has always been confined to her own position. Once she feels a sense of achievement, she starts to criticize from a position of superiority. Perhaps only after she calms down and reflects on how the company's collaborations came about will she feel regret. The divorce agreement is on the table, just remember to sign it. Jiang Yan's tone turned cold. You should know when to stop joking. My patience has its limits. Even now, she still believes that my talk of divorce is just me throwing a tantrum. I'm not joking with you. Watching Su Zixuan return from washing her hands, my tone calmed down. I've already got a new job. I won't be going back from now on. Don't contact me again unless it's about divorce. Jiang Yan screamed angrily. You changed jobs. Why didn't you discuss it with me? Do you not want this family anymore? Family? I couldn't help but laugh at myself mockingly. For the past 2 years, that so-called home has mostly been a place where I stayed alone. I had long grown tired of it, tired of waiting for Jiang Yan to come home night after night, tired of tossing and turning all night long, unable to sleep. Didn't you already leave that family in your heart long ago? Jiang Yan, stop pestering me. If I were you, I would have agreed to the divorce long ago. Jiang Yan's tone was icy cold. 5 years of marriage, and you say you want a divorce just like that? What do you take me for? You're being so ruthless. Do you really have no guilt toward me? You're not even a man, at this moment? Jiang Yan sounded exactly like a shameless shrew. She couldn't bear to give up the thrill of her affair, nor did she want to let go of me, her dutiful full-time housekeeper. Sighing, I simply hung up the phone, unwilling to engage in any more pointless arguments. The divorce was inevitable, no matter how she opposed it. It made no difference. What's wrong? Su Zixuan sat back in her seat, probably noticing my expression wasn't great, and asked with concern. Nothing. I put down my phone. Although there was this little interruption, the atmosphere became lively again thanks to Su Zixuan's lively and humorous conversation. We talked a lot about the branch office and the future work. During that time, my phone kept vibrating. Without a doubt, it was Jiang Yan calling, along with various accusatory messages. I turned off my phone. Out of sight, out of mind. Over the next few days, I immersed myself wholeheartedly in my work, striving to integrate into the team as quickly as possible. After all, although we all belonged to the same company, we had never collaborated before, so some details still needed time to be ironed out. Fortunately, the colleagues here were very friendly, and combined with my own solid abilities, the entire team quickly developed a strong sense of synergy. My quiet demeanor and lack of pretentiousness were also well received by my colleagues. Occasionally after work, we would organize various dinner gatherings, and I would also be invited to their homes. Su Zixuan would often participate. She was a lively and active girl who always brought joy to others, so everyone liked to bring her along. During this time, my relationship with her gradually became more familiar. 9. After a night of pleasure, Su Jiwen fell into a deep sleep, but Jiang Yan stared blankly at the ceiling, unable to fall asleep no matter what. Ever since Lu Ziming had spoken of divorce that day, she had rushed home and discovered the divorce agreement on the table. The content is simple. They got divorced, and he left with nothing. Yet, it was precisely this simple content that deeply wounded Jiang Yan's self-esteem. How could Lu Ziming give up on her so indifferently? She believed that if she just ignored him for a few days, he would come running back to beg her to reconcile, just like before. But after so many days, he hasn't made the slightest move. Could he really be angry? Jiang Yan picked up her phone and looked at their chat window, unsure when exactly their way of communicating had changed. In the past, Lu Ziming was always talkative, going on and on at length. Her responses, however, were quite cold, just a simple aha or oh, or she would simply not reply at all. But at some point, the way they communicated began to change. Whenever she sent him long messages, Lu Ziming's replies were either okay or got it. No more complaints like before. Jiang Yan clicked on the chat avatar, But Lu Ziming's social media feed was empty, showing only a single horizontal line. Something's not right. She abruptly sat up and quickly sent a message in the chat box. The red exclamation mark was so glaring Jiang Yan stared in disbelief, her eyes wide. She hastily opened her contacts and dialed Lu Ziming's number in a panic. "Sorry, the number you have dialed is not in service." Jiang Yan blankly lowered her phone. Impossible, how could it be, how could he block her? Jiang Yan felt a buzzing in her head. At this point, even if she had never taken it seriously before, she had no choice but to believe it. Lu Ziming was truly determined to divorce her. Feeling the chill, Su Jiwen groggily opened his eyes. Seeing Jiang Yan staring blankly at her phone, he pulled her into his arms, kneading the fullness of her chest while leaning close to her neck, his words ambiguous. "Yan Yan, sister, why aren't you sleeping? Is it because your little brother hasn't satisfied you yet?" Hearing the ambiguous words, Jiang Yan didn't feel moved as she had in the past. Instead, she inexplicably felt a bit irritated. Sister really seems unsatisfied. Then let your little brother satisfy you properly once more." With that, Su Jiwen flipped over and pinned her beneath him, his nose nuzzling back and forth against her chest. A few days ago, he had overheard Jiang Yan's phone call with Lu Ziming. A crumpled divorce agreement was also found in Jiang Yan's bag. He knew that he was about to rise to power. This beautiful and powerful woman would ultimately belong to him. Thinking of this, Su Jiwen couldn't help but chuckle, mumbling unconsciously, "Now it's fine, that old man of yours is gone, and we can be together forever from now on." His hands gently parted Jiang Yan's legs, but she recoiled as if shocked by electricity. Before he could ask, the bedside lamp turned on, revealing Jiang Yan's icy stare. Her eyes filled with horror. "What do you mean by that? You know where Ziming went?" Su Jiwen stammered. Yes, I heard you on the phone that day, so..." He didn't understand. Jiang Yan had always said she had no feelings for me, yet why did she seem less than happy after he left? Meeting Jiang Yan's cold gaze, Su Jiwen hesitated before speaking. "Sister, you still love him, don't you?" After saying this, Su Jiwen himself found it absurd, impossible. Jiang Yan is stunningly beautiful and an exceptionally rare, strong-willed woman. In contrast, I am ordinary in every way, and even my handsome face has been weathered by the passage of time. Moreover, Jiang Yan had already satisfied his various unreasonable demands countless times. In Su Jiwen's view, he himself was the one Jiang Yan truly loved the most in her heart. Jiang Yan had no intention of explaining at all, coldly throwing out the words, "You'd better not meddle in my affairs." Then, she put on her clothes and slammed the door as she left. Su Jiwen sat on the bed, his face gloomy. Damn Lu Ziming. He wished he could skin Lu Ziming alive and break his bones. He must have done it on purpose. You want to make Jiang Yan leave by running away from home, right? 10. Jiang Yan searched many places and asked many people, but no one knew where Lu Ziming had actually gone. Sitting in the office, a sense of loneliness welled up in Jiang Yan's expression. At that moment, the phone rang, and she looked down. It was Su Jiwen calling. She immediately hung up without hesitation, but the phone rang again, and she hung up once more. By the third time it rang, Jiang Yan had reached her limit. Is this ever going to end? The person on the other end of the line was startled by her outburst and hesitated for a moment before speaking timidly. "Sorry to bother you, Miss Jiang, we have a package for you. Would it be convenient for you to sign for it now?" "Express delivery?" Jiang Yan furrowed her brow. "Yes, I'm currently at the entrance of your villa. Is it convenient for you to sign for the package?" "I'm busy right now." "All right, I'll contact you again tomorrow." "Wait." Jiang Yan suddenly remembered something. "Who sent it?" "Yes, Mr. Lu Ziming." Jiang Yan suddenly stood up and reprimanded him sternly. "I'm going back right now, just wait for me." Jiang Yan ran red lights all the way, but at the gate of the residential community, she encountered a courier who was just heading out. "Where's my package?" The delivery person, startled by her pulling, hesitated before replying. "Your husband already signed for it, he just took it inside." "Husband?" Jiang Yan frowned. "My husband isn't even home." "Ah, but that gentleman just now claimed to be your husband." Jiang Yan stormed in with her eyebrows furrowed in anger. "Su Jiwen, where are you?" Su Jiwen, who was in the bathroom, jumped in fright. He threw what he was holding into the toilet and frantically pressed the flush button. The next second, the bathroom door was kicked open. She snatched the box from Su Jiwen's hands. It was filled to the brim with photographs from her youthful days in college. Gradually maturing into a sophisticated and sensual woman, her appearance in a school uniform, the image of him running in sportswear under the sunlight, the image of him in formal attire, working with a serious expression, and the image of him in loungewear, waving a spatula. These were all taken by Lu Ziming. Some she knew, others she had no idea about. All were taken by Lu Ziming without her noticing. She never knew that Lu Ziming was such a skilled photographer. Each photo was taken with love, casting a golden glow around her entire being. His love seemed to overflow from the lens. Jiang Yan's Hands trembled as she flipped through the pages, her movements growing increasingly frantic. Tears began to slip from the corners of her eyes. When she reached the last page, Jiang Yan froze. It was a photo of her and Su Jiwen lying in bed together. Her heart suddenly felt a sharp, piercing pain, an unbearable agony. In an instant, she pressed her hand to her chest, and the photo slipped from her fingers. It was at that moment she noticed the writing on the back of the photo. It was Lu Ziming's handwriting. Jiang Yan, have you ever felt sorry for me at any moment? Jiang Yan was taken aback and hurriedly picked up the other photos. Each one had handwriting on the back. Jiang Yan, you are very serious and beautiful when you work. Jiang Yan, I love you, honey. I secretly took a picture of you again. Will you blame me when you see it later? Jiang Yan, this one only has half, with only the 2 characters. Jiang Yan angrily grabbed Su Jiwen's hand. What about the other half? Sister, don't do this, you're scaring me. I'm asking you, where is the other half? Speak. Su Jiwen's courage grew bolder, and he pointed at the toilet, saying, I tore it up and flushed it away. Slap. Jiang Yan gave him a hard slap on the face. Sister. Su Jiwen's eyes were filled with shock and anger. Don't you say you don't love him anymore? Why do you still cling to these? I destroyed these photos so that he wouldn't affect you anymore. Get out of here, I'm the one you love. Sister, Lu Ziming isn't here, but you still have me. He stood up from the ground, trying to hold Jiang Yan in his arms, but Jiang Yan took a step back, her eyes filled with disgust and warning. Don't make me say it again. Get out, sister, get out. Su Jiwen knew Jiang Yan was at the peak of her anger and quickly changed the subject. Then, I'll go to the kitchen and make you something to eat first. You. Jiang Yan stared at him intently, enunciating each word clearly. Get out of my and Ziming's home. 11. During my time at the company, I noticed that Su Zishuan's identity seemed somewhat unusual, not to mention she shares the same surname as the big boss. The respectful attitude of her colleagues towards her gave a hint of what was going on. Moreover, perhaps due to work reasons, Su Zishuan would always appear in front of him. She would even take the initiative to suggest having meals together or going home together. This also gave rise to some gossip within the company. Some colleagues have been subtly inquiring about the relationship between the two of us. I have explained it before, but the ambiguous looks in their eyes clearly show that they don't believe me. Although there is no malicious speculation, it still makes me feel somewhat uncomfortable. Because of this, I can only try my best to keep my distance from Su Zishuan. Over time, Su Zishuan also noticed something unusual. As I was leaving work, I was cornered at the office door by Su Zishuan. Lu Ziming, why are you avoiding me? I averted my gaze. Miss Su, you've misunderstood. Don't call me Miss Su, call me Zishuan. Su Zishuan stamped her foot, somewhat displeased. I felt a bit at a loss. For a moment, the atmosphere grew somewhat awkward. It wasn't until a rapid ringtone from my phone broke the silence that I finally breathed a sigh of relief. Without even looking, I answered the call directly. Lu Ziming, I'm at your company. Where are you? Jiang Yan's voice came through the receiver. I was taken aback. My company? Jiang Yan's voice carried a sarcastic tone. Did you think I wouldn't be able to find you just because you moved to another city? Jiang Yan didn't know how she had gotten through those 8 hours. She had learned about Lu Ziming's whereabouts from one of his friends. At first, she was still very excited, but soon, a wave of immense anger enveloped her. How dare he leave without a word? I frowned deeply. In my impression, Jiang Yan wasn't the type to be clingy. Seeing this, Su Zishuan asked in confusion, "What's wrong?" On the other end of the phone, Jiang Yan heard a woman's voice and immediately became displeased. "Hey, who are you with?" I took a deep breath. "Who I'm with doesn't matter. I've said it before, unless it's about the divorce, don't come looking for me." With that, I hung up the phone without hesitation. Su Zishuan looked at me in shock. "You're getting a divorce?" "Yes," I replied, not bothering to hide it. "As you can see, I'm a failure in love. I'm not worthy of being loved." A look of heartache appeared on Su Zishuan's face. She stubbornly shook her head. "I think you're wonderful. It's that woman who doesn't know how to cherish you." While the two were talking, a noisy sound came from outside. "Lu Ziming, come out and see me." 12. I frowned as soon as I stepped out of the office and saw Jiang Yan causing a scene in the company. Security guards were following her, looking troubled and trying to persuade her to calm down. "Ma'am, if you keep this up, I'll have to call the police." "Go ahead and call them. I'm here to find my husband." "What right do you have to call the police?" Jiang Yan was acting like a madwoman, but fortunately, the company had already closed for the day, so not many people witnessed the scene. As I stepped out, Jiang Yan also noticed him. Seeing a pretty little girl standing beside him, Jiang Yan immediately turned cold and walked over quickly. "Have you had enough? Come home with me." She reached out and grabbed my arm. I frowned and pushed her away. "You're going too far." "I'm going too far." Jiang Yan's beautiful face was twisted with anger. "You ran away from home without a word and left behind the divorce agreement. Who's really going too far?" you come back with me right now, or don't blame me for being rude." At that moment, Su Zixuan suddenly stepped between the two of them. "Who are you, Auntie?" Auntie Jiang Yan's eyes widened, and a surge of anger instantly rose to her head. "Who are you? Who I am has nothing to do with you. You came to our company out of nowhere and caused a scene. Shouldn't I be the one asking who you are?" The two women locked eyes, and the atmosphere instantly grew tense. "Lu Ziming, come home with me." Jiang Yan's gaze skipped over the Su Zixuan in front of her, her tone carrying an air of command and impatience. "He is the project department manager of our company. Why should he go with you?" Jiang Yan looked at Su Zixuan, who had repeatedly provoked her, her face as cold as iron. "He's my husband. If he doesn't go with me, do you think he'd go with you?" Su Zixuan held her head high, showing no sign of backing down. "I only know that Brother Ziming doesn't want to go with you." Brother Ziming. Jiang Yan gritted her teeth, took a deep breath, and forced herself to calm down. "Ziming, can we have a proper conversation?" "Miss Jiang, I don't see what there is for us to talk about. Your lover is still waiting for you. I'm doing well now. I have a job and someone by my side. Please don't come after me again." Jiang Yan choked up. She had 1,000 things to say, but when she met my cold gaze, she swallowed her words back. "Su Jiwen is not my lover. Ziming, give me 10 minutes. I want to explain everything clearly to you. Is that okay? I have something else to do, maybe next time." I grabbed Su Zixuan and was about to leave. Jiang Yan gritted her teeth. Fine, Lu Ziming, you're really something. You'd better not regret it." Jiang Yan turned and left angrily. After she left, I apologized to Su Zixuan. "Sorry for causing you trouble. I'll treat you to a meal another day." "It's fine, no trouble at all." Su Zixuan didn't care at all. "I just can't stand that woman's arrogance. Let's go. It just so happens that I'm heading to your neighborhood today, so I can give you a ride." When they went downstairs, Jiang Yan was still waiting outside. Seeing the two of them chatting and laughing, she was so angry that her eyes turned red. "Lu Ziming, don't forget, I am your wife." Before I could speak, Su Zixuan retorted bluntly. "Aren't you two getting divorced? You won't be for much longer." Jiang Yan grew even angrier. Su Zixuan's words seemed to hint at an unusual relationship between the two of them. "As long as I don't sign, he can forget about getting a divorce." I sighed. "Jiang Yan, why must you go to such lengths?" With that, I declined Su Zixuan's request to accompany me and returned home alone by car. 13. I still underestimated Jiang Yan's persistence. She actually managed to find out where I live that evening. The door was knocked on. When I opened it and saw Jiang Yan standing there, I felt both helpless and annoyed. "What exactly do you want?" I felt I had made myself clear enough. "This thoroughly rotten marriage. I no longer wish to continue it. There's no need for us to keep tormenting each other." Jiang Yan didn't care about anything else. She simply shoved me aside and rushed into the room, looking around. Only after confirming there were no signs of anyone else living there did she relax, crossing her arms over her chest with an impatient tone. "You've caused enough trouble these past few days. Come home with me now, and I'll forgive everything you've done." This self-righteous tone surprised me and made me feel it was ridiculous. For the first time, I realized Jiang Yan could be such a self-righteous woman. "Jiang Yan, do you really think I don't know about your little affair with Su Jiwen? Do you think I proposed divorce just to amuse you? We've been married for 5 years. I just didn't want to make things too ugly, so I chose to leave alone. Can't you save some face for yourself? Do you only feel at ease when things have spiraled completely out of control?" Jiang Yan explained with a grim expression. "How many times do I have to tell you? I just see him as a younger brother." I let out a cold sneer. "A younger brother? Does a younger brother pin his older sister to the bed and engage in such indecent acts?" Jiang Yan's face turned pale in an instant. Seeing her trying to explain but unable to find the words, I remained silent. Even without the photos sent by Su Jiwen, I could clearly feel Jiang Yan's love for him. Everything that happened between the two of us, including all the things Jiang Yan did to me, seemed to tell me that the woman before me was no longer the little girl whose eyes were once filled with love for me. She is now stunningly beautiful and a successful career woman. It's inevitable that some young people would be tempted, but whether it was during our relationship or in the early days of our marriage, I never once imagined that one day, Jiang Yan would betray me in our marriage. "Stop trying to make excuses," I said calmly. "Perhaps you don't know, but I understand you better than you think." "Jiang Yan, stop bothering me." Jiang Yan was about to explain, but a sudden phone call interrupted her. "Sister, my leg hurts so much, can you come back and stay with me?" The aggrieved voice stirred a pang of guilt in Jiang Yan's heart. After all, she couldn't bear to part with Su Jiwen, who was young and full of energy. After hesitating for a moment, she softened her tone. "I'm sorry, Jiwen, I'm busy right now. I'll come back as soon as I'm done. Be good and don't move around carelessly, you might hurt yourself." On the other end of the phone, Su Jiwen was overjoyed. He quickly gestured for the people around him to quiet down, cupped the receiver with his hand, and lowered his voice. Sis, are you abandoning me? You were so angry with me the other day, and I've been feeling down for a long time. For a handsome, physically fit young man with a gentle, loyal personality like a big dog, it's almost impossible for any woman not to like him. Perhaps Jiang Yan herself didn't even realize that her voice had become exceptionally gentle at this moment. Alright, it's my fault. When I get back, I'll make it up to you properly, okay? After hanging up the phone, the guilt in her eyes vanished completely. It seemed that Su Jiwen's words had washed away all the shame of her infidelity. She put away her phone and looked at me. I was just too bored and playing around. No need to make such a big deal out of it, right? I promise you, you'll always be my husband. No one can ever replace you. Are you satisfied now? 14. I suddenly felt nauseous. Hurry up and get out, Jiang Yan. Don't disgust me anymore. My tone was unapologetically filled with disgust. A flash of anger crossed Jiang Yan's eyes, but when she met my look of disdain, she became somewhat nervous. It's just a little flirtation with another man. Is it really worth getting so serious about? Weren't you the one with that little girl? Shut up, I rebuked sharply. Jiang Yan, if you dare to spew filth from your mouth, I will directly sue you in court. Jiang Yan was so angry that her chest heaved. She couldn't quite understand. In the past, I wouldn't even dare to raise my voice at her, let alone curse at her, but now, I actually used such disgusting words to humiliate her. She finally realized that some things had indeed changed. Jiang Yan suppressed the anger on her face. Alright, I won't say any more. Calm down, and I'll come find you tomorrow. No need, I sneered. Running between two cities for two men must be quite exhausting for you. You should focus on your own. Jiwen. Jiang Yan gritted her teeth, and in the end, turned and left in a huff. On the weekend, I received an invitation from Su Zixuan. Tomorrow is the weekend, want to go shopping together? I instinctively wanted to refuse, but Su Zixuan's next words made me hesitate. Are you really thinking about getting back together with that ex of yours? Thinking about it? Of course not. I hesitated for a moment, but still agreed. I'll go. At the agreed upon location, I met Su Zixuan. Unlike before, she was wearing denim shorts and a short-sleeved shirt, simple, yet exceptionally beautiful. Upon seeing me, she immediately jumped up and waved. Her vibrant and energetic appearance attracted the attention of many people around her. It has to be admitted, Su Zixuan is really beautiful. She seems to be able to pull off many styles, whether it's the mature professional woman at work or the playful beauty after hours. She handles everything with ease. Heaven truly favors her. Many young people in the company have expressed their admiration for her, yet she has rejected them all, giving the impression of being gentle yet keeping others at a distance. Hurry up, I'm going to have a big shopping spree today. As soon as we met, Su Zixuan grabbed my arm and urged me on. I smiled wryly. Men probably all understand how painful it is to accompany a woman shopping. So, do we have a specific goal in mind? Su Zixuan stuck out her tongue. Come on, you're clearly so young, yet your mindset is like an old man's. I don't care. Today I just want to shop, 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 and buy, buy, buy. I was still a bit hesitant, but Su Zixuan directly reached out and took my hand. Let's go. Just as I was being led toward the mall entrance, an angry scream suddenly came from behind. Lu Ziming, 15. My movements paused. Turning around, I saw Jiang Yan striding over angrily. Lu Ziming, don't forget, we're not divorced yet. Jiang Yan stared fixedly at the hands that Su Zixuan and I were holding. Don't you have any sense of shame, holding hands with another woman like this? I immediately felt a surge of anger. What gives you the right to question me? Su Zixuan chimed in from the side. Exactly, at least we're open and honest, unlike some people who act like a saint while doing dirty deeds. Jiang Yan ignored her and stared straight at me. So, you insist on divorcing just for this woman? I furrowed my brow, my expression darkening. Jiang Yan, do you think everyone is as despicable as you? Why am I getting a divorce? Don't you have any idea? Jiang Yan didn't care in the slightest. Instead, she sneered and questioned. So what? I've already apologized to you, yet you still insist on divorce and secretly transferred jobs behind my back. Isn't it all for this woman? Lu Ziming, you are the one who betrayed this relationship. I sighed inwardly. 5 years have passed, and I can honestly say I've done right by this relationship. I've also tried my best to mend the deeply fractured marriage, yet what I've received in return are these baseless accusations and interrogations. Jiang Yan, don't you find this ridiculous? My eyes showed annoyance. Between us, who is really the one who has betrayed this marriage? I don't care, as long as we haven't divorced for a single day. You are not allowed to have any ambiguous relationships with other women. Jiang Yan stepped forward to grab my hand. I stepped back to dodge, my tone icy cold. Enough, I've said it before, I don't want to have any more entanglements with you. Before I could finish my words, a familiar voice sounded from behind. Yen Yen. Su Jiwen ran over from behind without warning. casually slung his arm around Jiang Yan's shoulder, and shot me a provocative smile. "Oh, Mr. Lu, it's been a while, you look quite a bit more weathered." Watching the two of them in their intimate gestures, I could only feel a sense of irony. "Jiang Yan, don't you think what you just said is self-contradictory?" Jiang Yan gently pushed away Su Jiwen beside her, her expression calm upon hearing this. "I was just bringing him here to help him get accustomed to the work environment." "So what?" My gaze remained indifferent. "What are you trying to prove by saying these things?" No matter what Jiang Yan said, there was one fact that could not be changed under any circumstances: she had cheated. "You don't need to explain to me," I interrupted her words. 16. "What you and your little lover do is none of my business, it's your freedom." After saying that, I took Su Zixuan and left. Lu Ziming, Jiang Yan chased after us. Su Zixuan glanced back and pulled me into the nearby small commodities market. After winding through the twists and turns inside, I ran out from the other end. I thought this would shake off Jiang Yan, but her persistence was beyond imagination. I soon noticed Jiang Yan and the other person following behind, which only added to my frustration. I simply stopped in my tracks and waited for them to catch up. "Lu Ziming, how long are you going to keep this up?" Jiang Yan quickly stepped closer. "Fine, I'll apologize to you." "Okay." She was rarely willing to back down, but even her concession felt perfunctory. Yet it was precisely this perfunctory attitude that, over the 5 years of their marriage, Jiang Yan had refused to reciprocate. "Jiang Yan, why are you making things so difficult? You know better than anyone what you've done. If I had done something like that with another woman, ask yourself honestly, could you really accept it?" Before Jiang Yan could respond, Su Jiwen took hold of her hand. "Brother Ziming, actually, there's no need for things to get so ugly because of me. Sister needs a man who can take care of the household and a companion who can soothe her emotions. If you truly love her, you shouldn't put her in a difficult position. Take care of her home front, and leave the rest to me. Is that not acceptable? Perhaps a life shared by 3 people could also be very happy. What do you think? What kind of logic is this?" I shook my head, finding it utterly ridiculous, but before I could say anything, Jiang Yan shook off Su Jiwen's hand first. "What nonsense are you spouting?" Jiang Yan's face darkened, her tone unusually filled with anger. "Jiwen, you're an adult, you should know what to say and what not to say, keep that in mind." Su Jiwen's expression stiffened. In the past, when they were together, Jiang Yan had always been infinitely tolerant and indulgent toward him, let alone scolding him. He had rarely even spoken harsh words. Su Jiwen put on a pitiful expression. This was his usual tactic. Every time he pretended to be wronged, acted obedient, or played the victim, Jiang Yan would immediately soften. But this time, his plan backfired. Jiang Yan didn't even glance at him, her eyes carrying a hint of impatience. Su Jiwen took a step back, daring not to say another word. "Ziming, come back with me." 17. Jiang Yan came to my side, her tone unusually soft. Su Jiwen's expression immediately darkened, his gaze toward me tinged with resentment and malice. I showed no reaction whatsoever. I had always known that Su Jiwen was no pushover. In the past, he had provoked me more than once. I always chose to endure, but even a clay figure has its limits. "I can go back with you, but what about him?" Jiang Yan was stunned. He instinctively turned his head to look over. Su Jiwen immediately put away his resentful expression and put on the look of a pitiful puppy. His appearance was indeed very handsome, and his acting skills were quite impressive. A flicker of reluctance instantly flashed in Jiang Yan's eyes. I shook my head and sneered, my tone dripping with sarcasm. "With such great acting skills, it's a real pity you're not going into the entertainment industry." A flicker of displeasure crossed Jiang Yan's face. After a moment's hesitation, she turned to Su Jiwen and ordered, "Jiwen, apologize to Ziming." Su Jiwen's expression turned to shock. "Why? No reason why, just apologize when you're told to." Jiang Yan's tone was firm, leaving no room for doubt. Su Jiwen's eyes reddened, as if he might burst into tears of grievance at any moment. "Sister, don't you like me anymore?" A hint of warmth melted the icy expression on Jiang Yan's face. Watching their performance, I felt nothing but disgust churning in my stomach, so I turned and walked away. Seeing this, Jiang Yan hurriedly chased after me. At that moment, Su Zixuan, who had been standing by the side all along, suddenly stepped in front of her. "Move aside." Jiang Yan's expression turned grim. "Why should I?" Su Zixuan was not polite at all. I turned my head and saw the scene, witnessing the two of them at daggers drawn, and couldn't help but hold my forehead. "Let's go. There's no need to waste time with them." Su Zixuan nodded obediently, staying by my side as we walked onto the escalator in the mall together. Jiang Yan still followed step by step, and Su Jiwen gritted his teeth before jogging to catch up. At this, I also began to feel annoyed. A perfectly good weekend was ruined by these two. "Ziming, just ignore them." Su Zixuan gently tugged at the sleeve of my clothes. I managed to show a faint smile. "All right." Jiang Yan, who was following behind, saw this. Seen and gritted her teeth in anger, she quickly stepped forward and pushed Su Zixuan aside. Lu Ziming, have you had enough? I admit, I was wrong in the past, come home with me, and I can break things off cleanly with Su Jiwen. 18, I'm a bit surprised, doesn't she like Su Jiwen a lot? If I withdraw now, wouldn't that be exactly what she wants, so why is she saying such things now? And from her expression, it didn't seem like she was joking, but I didn't care even if Jiang Yan never contacted Su Jiwen again. So what, can a broken mirror be made whole again? Hearing Jiang Yan's words, Su Jiwen's face instantly turned pale. Sister, are you serious? Jiang Yan didn't turn around, just stared straight at me. Seeing this, the grief and indignation in Su Jiwen's eyes turned into resentment. He rushed forward, grabbed Jiang Yan in his arms, and cried out hoarsely, why, I've been with you for 2 years, and now you say you don't want me anymore. What do you take me for? Trash to be thrown away after use. 2 years. A flicker of surprise, followed by self-mockery, flashed in my eyes. I could forgive the two of them for having been in contact 2 years ago. It was even possible that they had already been involved with each other back then. The thought of having shared a bed with such people for so long suddenly made me feel nauseous. Shut up. Jiang Yan, enraged and humiliated, broke free with a forceful struggle and slapped Su Jiwen hard across the face. Su Jiwen was stunned by the slap, standing there in disbelief, his eyes filled with shock. Are you really this heartless? I've worked so hard by your side for 2 years, even if I haven't achieved anything, I've certainly endured enough hardship, right? His emotions gradually intensified, his eyes filled with bloodshot veins. Jiang Yan, you'd better give me an explanation. Jiang Yan's expression was cold, her tone laced with threat. Su Jiwen, I'm warning you one last time, know your place. If you dare bring up these matters again, don't blame me for turning against you. Watching the drama unfold from the sidelines, I was not at all surprised. Admittedly, Su Jiwen was young, energetic, and knew how to win women's favor, but he didn't know Jiang Yan well enough. Jiang Yan might have liked him, but she only liked his obedience. Even his occasional little tantrums were, in Jiang Yan's eyes, just a way to add some spice to their relationship. But once he made Jiang Yan unhappy, she would certainly not tolerate it either. I can understand why Su Jiwen was so angry. After all, his persistence in pursuing Jiang Yan was definitely not just about being attracted to her body. On a deeper level, Jiang Yan provided him with a comfortable life. To him, Jiang Yan is his wealthy older sister. Losing Jiang Yan means he would lose everything he has now. Therefore, he will stop at nothing to keep Jiang Yan in his grasp. But when faced with Jiang Yan's icy gaze, he feels a bit of fear. After much hesitation, Su Jiwen turned his gaze toward me. Lu Ziming, since you don't love Yan Yan, why can't you just let her be with me? Is the thrill of having two lovers really that satisfying? Since you already have someone new, why do you still have to compete with me? 19. In just a few words, the point of conflict was shifted. It seemed like a complaint, but in reality, it was a subtle attempt to smear me. Sure enough, Jiang Yan's expression instantly turned unpleasant. I sneered, are you talking nonsense? It's your Yan Yan who refuses to divorce, not me. Trying to take her from you. What makes you think I would fight for a woman who cheated? Jiang Yan's expression turned grim, while Su Zixuan's smile curled up at the corners of her mouth. Exactly. Su Zixuan bounced over to my side. Let's go, Brother Ziming. She deliberately emphasized the word brother with a heavy tone. Jiang Yan's face turned ugly. She wanted to chase after him but was entangled by Su Jiwen. You can't leave. Jiang Yan stared at him coldly. Su Jiwen, are you trying to make me lose my temper? Su Jiwen gritted his teeth, still refusing to back down even half a step. The two of them struggled for a long time, but in the end, Su Jiwen still left. He didn't dare to completely break things off with Jiang Yan. After all, when it came down to it, he was just a male pet raised by Jiang Yan. After seeing Su Jiwen off, Jiang Yan seemed to have more free time, so much so that she would come to my company every morning to deliver breakfast, in the name of a wife. She would bring a loving bento box. She would also wait downstairs at the company after work, holding a bouquet of flowers, and personally hand it to me when she saw me, a woman pursuing a man. And she's a very beautiful woman. Such a plot seems to only appear in TV dramas. This also led to colleagues joking around and whispering behind his back. Some people said that he already had a wife but was still entangled with Su Zixuan, making him a complete scumbag. Some people also speculated that I was liked by two women at the same time, which is why such a scene of two women pursuing one man unfolded. But no matter which explanation it was, it made me feel annoyed. When Jiang Yan appeared downstairs again, I took the initiative to walk up to her. Jiang Yan's face lit up with joy, tinged with a hint of pride. What, changed your mind? Jiang Yan, let's find a time to get a divorce. My expression was cold. I had long since lost any attachment to this marriage. 5 years have passed, and I am Already tired, whether it's Jiang Yan's infidelity or the endless entanglement now, it all leaves me utterly exhausted. As the ancient said, once disloyal, never to be used again. Jiang Yan was stunned, her eyes slowly welling up with tears. Are you really going to be this heartless? After all these years of feelings, can you just let go so easily? I shook my head. Jiang Yan, if you had paid even a moment's attention to me over the past 5 years, you wouldn't have said such a thing. I gave Jiang Yan countless chances to turn back, yet she never cherished them, so, stop pestering me, this will only make me despise you even more. You're no longer alone as you once were, you should know what kind of impact this could have if it gets out of hand. 20. I didn't hide the threat in my words at all. Jiang Yan's face was pale, she simply couldn't believe that the man who had once cherished her as his dearest would now threaten her with divorce. Zimming, when did you become so cruel, Jiang? Yan's face was filled with heartache. I didn't say anything. Who can truly keep their original intention unchanged for 5 years? I tried hard, and I succeeded, but reality proved that keeping one's original intention is nothing more than self-deception. My original intentions didn't change anything. Jiang Yan still changed her heart. What right do you have to question me? I calmly asked back. Jiang Yan fell silent, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. After a long while, she raised her head, her voice hoarse. Can you give me some time? Zimming, I just can't accept it right now. I think, even if we're ending things, we should do it properly, not so hastily. Is that okay? I know that even if I refuse, all I'll face is their endless pestering, so I simply agreed. In the following days, Jiang Yan resumed her previous behavior: breakfast, flowers, various gifts, every day at work. My desk is piled high with all kinds of flowers and gifts. It's impossible not to stand out. This, of course, made my colleagues at the company unable to resist discussing it. Some even thought that these were sent by Su Zixuan. In response, I could only quickly clarify, no, probably a mistake in delivery. Can they really deliver it wrong every day? Of course, my colleagues didn't believe it. In response, I didn't offer any explanation. Instead, I directly threw the flowers and gifts into the trash in front of everyone. You're just throwing it away, what a waste. Su Zixuan appeared before me at some point, her tone dripping with sarcasm. I shrugged. If it's not mine, I'll just throw it away. Su Zixuan wrinkled her nose. I really don't know how to cherish things. With that, she turned and left in a huff. This scene, seen by their colleagues, naturally confirmed the relationship between the two. Facing everyone's ambiguous gazes, I could only give a bitter smile. I was also puzzled in my heart. He had also figured out Su Zixuan's background. She is the daughter of the big boss, but she has never been very dedicated to her work, and even less so to romance. The big boss once worried himself to the point of losing his hair, but Su Zixuan's quirky and eccentric personality made it impossible for her father to keep her in line. He even began to wonder if there was something wrong with his daughter's sexual orientation. Until I arrived. To this, I could only shake my head. I didn't think that a girl like Su Zixuan, with perfect looks and figure, and a good family background, would like me. Everyone should still refrain from making inappropriate jokes about girls, as it can easily affect others' lives. So you're afraid I'll affect your life? 21. Su Zixuan had returned at some point without me noticing and spoke softly from behind me. Upon hearing this, I turned my head and said helplessly, you know that's not what I meant. Then what did you mean? Su Zixuan was somewhat aggressive. I stumbled over my words for a moment. After all, being caught gossiping behind someone's back by the person in question would make anyone feel awkward. We were just chatting casually, don't misunderstand. Su Zixuan gave me a strange look, but fortunately, she didn't press further. Just as I was trying to find an excuse to leave, Su Zixuan suddenly spoke softly. The flowers today were from me. I froze. You sent them? I scratched my head somewhat awkwardly. I don't know, sorry. It's okay. Su Zixuan's eyes curved into a smile. Remember, don't lose it again next time. Also, I'll have security keep an eye on that woman. If you need anything, just let me know. I have plenty of ways to make sure she stops bothering you. I didn't doubt Su Zixuan's words. After all, the big boss is quite a prominent figure in the industry. As his daughter, she was certainly not someone to be trifled with. However, I merely declined politely. The relationship between the two of them in the company was already somewhat ambiguous. If things were to go any further, it would likely be difficult to bring the matter to a simple close. I don't want others to think there's any ambiguous relationship between me and the boss's daughter. I've reached my current position through my own step-by-step efforts, not by pulling strings. After work, Jiang Yan appeared again. The ghost won't leave me alone. I grew quite impatient. What exactly do you want? Don't you have anything better to do? I didn't hide the disgust in my eyes at all. Jiang Yan's eyes were red, and she spoke in a hoarse voice. I just wanted to make up for it. No need. 22. I furrowed my brows tightly, but Jiang Yan shook her head vigorously. No, it's necessary. I don't want our relationship to end like this. Give me 1 month. If you still want a divorce after that, I'll agree. As long as they could get divorced, anything was fine. That was the only thought in my mind at that moment. Do as you please. With those words left behind, I turned and walked away, but Jiang Yan grabbed his wrist. Let's have a meal together. I frowned deeply. Ever since I made up my mind to get a divorce, I've increasingly felt that Jiang Yan irritates me to no end. Even just being alone with her makes me feel extremely uncomfortable. No need for that. I withdrew my hand, my tone full of impatience. Jiang Yan's face showed a look of grievance. I just want to sit with you and have a good chat. Please agree to it. Okay. In the past, I couldn't bear to see her look so wronged, but now, all that Jiang Yan could see in my eyes was coldness. Please. A look of pleading appeared in Jiang Yan's eyes. As long as you agree, I will sign the divorce agreement as promised. I sighed. Let's go. I told myself in my heart that everything was for the sake of getting divorced as soon as possible. Under Jiang Yan's expectant gaze, I got into her car. Jiang Yan didn't drive to the restaurant. Instead, she went to the supermarket. Let's stroll around the supermarket together. Jiang Yan pushed a shopping cart. I kept my hands in my pockets, showing no intention to help. Jiang Yan didn't mind. Instead, she continued walking ahead on her own, gazing at the dazzling array of goods around her, and spoke softly. I still remember, back when we first got married, my stomach was always weak, and you would always make time to go to the supermarket to buy groceries and cook for me. As she said this, her voice became choked with emotion. It turned out that, without her even realizing it, so many years had already passed. It turned out that she had truly, with her own hands, lost a man who loved her so deeply. I remained silent, feeling no stir of emotion within. If anything, he only felt it was not worth it. For such a woman, he had spent an entire 5 years. How many 5-year periods are there in life? 23. Jiang Yan bought a lot of groceries. I noticed that many of the items in the shopping cart were dishes she liked. So, Jiang Yan is not unaware of me. She just doesn't care. That's all. When checking out, Jiang Yan couldn't help but mutter while looking at the bill. I didn't expect beef prices to have risen so much now. Do you usually buy beef yourself? I had originally wanted to find some everyday topics to liven up the atmosphere, but I spoke in a calm, detached tone. I left with nothing, so I don't have much money to waste. Jiang Yan's expression stiffened, and she fell silent. It wasn't until they were both in the car that she softly spoke up. You really don't need to do this. After all, my income is much higher than yours. I can. No need. I interrupted her. I just want to get divorced as soon as possible and not waste too much time on the divorce lawsuit. Jiang Yan fell silent once again. It seemed she intended to avoid the issue by adopting an attitude of evasion. After arriving home, Jiang Yan carried a large bag of groceries into the kitchen. Watching Jiang Yan busy herself in the kitchen, I felt somewhat dazed. I haven't cooked in a long time myself. After all, living alone, there's no passion for cooking at all. I basically just throw something together to eat. The aroma of food wafting from the kitchen adds a touch of liveliness to the house. When I first got married, I used to cook quite often. During that time, although life was tight, it was truly happy. But later, the opportunities for the two of them to eat together became fewer and fewer. The appearance of Su Jiwen caused the relationship between the two to reach a freezing point. After about 2 hours, Jiang Yan had prepared 3 dishes and 1 soup. Looking at the not-so-exquisite dishes on the table, I didn't have much appetite. There's no need to make so much. It's just the two of us, and we can't finish it all. It's okay, just eat as much as you can. Jiang Yan didn't mind, bustling about, serving rice and adding soup. She seems as virtuous as a wife who manages the household well, but deep down, I know it's all an illusion. Someone who can even fake affection. What's so hard about pretending to be virtuous? At the dinner table, I remained silent from start to finish, never touching the food in my bowl, just constantly stirring it with my chopsticks. Seeing this, Jiang Yan opened her mouth, but in the end, she said nothing. The atmosphere was eerily quiet. After hastily finishing the meal, Jiang Yan took the initiative to pick up the dishes and walked into the kitchen. The once aloof and elegant female CEO was now wearing an apron and washing dishes in the kitchen. If outsiders saw this, they would definitely be shocked, or perhaps not. I know that in Su Jiwen's eyes, Jiang Yan's behavior is completely ordinary. She can treat Su Jiwen so gently. Cooking and such must just be part of her daily routine. After all, when Jiang Yan was at home, she never lifted a finger to do any housework, yet her cooking techniques and movements were so skilled. I sat on the sofa, neither paying attention nor stopping her. You can't wake someone who is pretending to be asleep. After tidying up the kitchen, Jiang Yan naturally sat down beside me, zimming. Before she could finish her sentence, I frowned, stood up, and walked straight into the study. Jiang Yan's face was filled with sorrow now. He doesn't even want to get close to me. As the sky grew darker, I heard movement in the bathroom and couldn't help but frown. Is this woman not planning to leave? I took a deep breath and stood at the bathroom door, speaking coldly. Please leave after you finish your shower. 24, the sound of water in the bathroom paused, followed by a clattering noise. It seemed as though something had fallen to the floor. I didn't pay any attention and turned around to enter the bedroom, locking the door from the inside, but not long after, there was a knock on the door. Jiang Yan's slightly despondent voice sounded from outside the door. Zimming, I have something I want to say to you. Could you please open the door? I'm very tired and don't want to waste words with you. I don't hold back. Jiang Yan was silent for a moment, and the sound of footsteps faded away. I sighed. I shouldn't have agreed to it in the first place. The next morning, Jiang Yan had once again prepared breakfast early. I noticed that her toiletries had appeared in the bathroom. It seemed she intended to stay for good. I was quite helpless. With a dark expression, he threw those toiletries into the trash right in front of Jiang Yan. Jiang Yan didn't stop him. Instead, she took out spare toiletries from her bag. This kind of life went on for a while, leaving me physically and mentally exhausted. It was at this moment that Su Zixuan suddenly came to find me. I'm going on a business trip in a few days. Get ready. A business trip? I was a bit puzzled, as I didn't seem to have received any such notice, but I didn't think much of it. Instead, I was quite happy. If I go on a business trip, I can temporarily escape Jiang Yan's entanglements. Thinking of this, I smiled and nodded. Okay, you seem quite happy, Su Zixuan asked with a smile. Something like that. I didn't explain further. Back home, Jiang Yan wasn't there, so I immediately started packing my bags. Just as I was about to head out, Jiang Yan returned. She was holding a shopping bag from the supermarket, and when she saw the suitcase in my hand, her expression froze for a moment. Are you running away again? What do you mean by running away? I couldn't help but let out a sarcastic smile. This is my home. I come and go as I please. Do I really need to explain myself to you? Jiang Yan hurriedly explained. No, it's not like that. I pushed her away. I'm going on a business trip tomorrow. Pack your things and leave. Don't linger in my house. Jiang Yan grabbed my arm. Are you really going on a business trip? Why didn't you tell me in advance? Why should I tell you? I shook off her hand and sneered. Did you ever tell me when you went on business trips before? 25. Ever since Su Jiwen appeared, Jiang Yan never told me about her business trips. After all, the so-called business trips were nothing more than secret meetings with Su Jiwen. At my questioning, a hint of awkwardness flickered across Jiang Yan's face, and her voice lost much of its confidence. So, when will you be back? It's none of your business. I left it at that and turned to leave. Her eyes immediately reddened as she reached out to snatch my suitcase. I don't agree. You can't leave. I shook my head and sighed. Is this really necessary? You know, once I've made a decision, I never regret it. You can stop me for a moment, but can you stop me for a lifetime? Of course I can. With a stubborn look on her face, she hugged me tightly and lifted her head to kiss me. I pushed her away in disgust. She froze, tears falling like broken strings of pearls, drop by drop. Why are you treating me like this? She broke down and screamed, pounding my chest with both fists. I looked at her, my face devoid of any expression. You know the reason, don't you? Why pretend to be innocent? Jiang Yan froze. Yes, she knew the reason. She had always known, but she never thought about changing. Instead, she kept pushing me, forcing me to give in. I gently pushed her away and left with my suitcase. Jiang Yan didn't stop me again, but the moment I stepped out the door, she slumped to the ground, covering her face, her shoulders trembling slightly. I found a hotel to stay at. Late at night, Su Zixuan sent a message. Shall I pick you up at your place tomorrow? I sent her the hotel location and turned off my phone. That night, I slept exceptionally soundly. The next morning, I was awakened by Su Zixuan's phone call. I'm downstairs at the hotel. Come down. All right, I'll pack up. After a quick wash, I took my suitcase downstairs. The first thing I saw was Su Zixuan and Jiang Yan arguing at the hotel entrance. Why are you here? I stepped forward, looking coldly at Jiang Yan. Her eyes were red, and she glared at Su Zixuan with hostility. She replied with some displeasure. So the business trip you mentioned was with her. Should it be with you instead? I retorted. We're going to work properly. Do you think everyone is as dirty-minded as you? Jiang Yan's face turned pale. Su Zixuan rolled her eyes at her and naturally handed the keys to me. You drive. I don't feel like moving. Okay. Watching the two of them chatting and laughing, Jiang Yan felt even more uncomfortable inside, but even as the car started and sped away, I didn't even spare her a glance. Why did you argue with her again? In the car, I asked curiously. Su Zixuan leaned lazily against the passenger seat and rolled her eyes upon hearing this. I wanted to ask you the same thing. I just arrived this morning and saw this woman sitting in the hotel lobby. She sat up, her eyes filled with suspicion. You weren't with her last night, were you? Don't talk nonsense. I glared at her and then explained what had happened during this period. Su Zixuan clicked her tongue in amazement after hearing it. What a devoted woman. Devoted? I shook my head. I just find it so annoying. 26. Su Zixuan couldn't help but curl her lips into a faint smile. humming along to the radio as if she were in a particularly good mood. Upon arriving at the airport, I noticed several colleagues from the company and couldn't help but feel curious. Are we closing a major deal? This kind of setup doesn't seem like a simple business trip to discuss a partnership. Su Zixuan shook her head and said mysteriously, "You'll know once we get there." Seeing this, I couldn't help but shake my head and chuckle, deciding not to ask any more questions. I had originally hoped to use this business trip to get away from Jiang Yan's persistent entanglements. Besides, with the boss's daughter backing things up, it's not his place as an employee to worry about where they're going. Once on the plane, Su Zixuan fell into a deep sleep. It seemed she hadn't rested well. I quietly called the flight attendant over and asked for a blanket to cover her. The girl seemed troubled, her brows tightly furrowed. Fortunately, she was sleeping deeply. I was just about to rest for a while when my shoulder sank slightly. Turning my head, I found Su Zixuan's head resting on my shoulder. After a moment's thought, I didn't push her away. We remained in that position until the plane landed and the announcement came over the intercom. Su Zixuan finally stirred awake. Su Zixuan also noticed that the two of them were in a somewhat ambiguous posture, and she shyly stuck out her tongue. "I stayed up too late last night. Because of work?" "No, because of gaming." Su Zixuan's matter-of-fact expression made me pause for a moment, and I shook my head with a bitter smile. "You really are." After getting off the plane, several colleagues immediately went their separate ways. I intended to follow them, but Su Zixuan grabbed my arm. "We're not going together. Someone will come to pick us up in a moment." I was a bit puzzled but didn't ask further. However, the ambiguous looks from my colleagues before they left always made me feel a bit strange. Before long, a business car pulled up in front of the two of them. After getting in the car, we drove all the way to the suburbs. "What kind of project requires a discussion in the suburbs?" I deliberately teased. "You're not planning to sell me off, are you?" Su Zixuan rolled her eyes. "How much are you even worth?" "That's true, I won't say any more." The car pulled up in front of a villa. Though called a villa, it was more like a resort. As soon as I stepped out of the car, I was stunned by the scene before me. "Miss, let us handle this." Several people dressed as butlers approached and casually took the suitcases from the two of them. Su Zixuan naturally handed over the suitcases. "I find it even more bizarre. Is this property owned by the Su family?" I was assigned to the room next to Su Zixuan's. While putting away my luggage, Su Zixuan stretched. "I'll take a nap first. Remember to wake me up in the afternoon." 27. I nodded, wandered around the villa for a while, and then returned to my room, planning to take a short nap. I'm not sure if it's because my sleep has been poor lately or if I've been too stressed. When I woke up, it was already dark outside. I was startled, turned over, sat up, and glanced at my phone. There were no calls, only one unread message. It was from Su Zixuan. "You pig, I told you to call me, and you're sleeping so soundly." It was 2 hours ago. I quickly made the call. As soon as the call connected, I immediately apologized. "Sorry, I overslept." "You finally realize that?" Su Zixuan's tone carried a hint of coquettishness. "You pig, I called you several times." I smiled bitterly and changed the subject. "I hope I haven't delayed the work progress." "Oh, forget about work for now. Hurry up and come downstairs for dinner." The more it was like this, the more peculiar I felt. I felt less like I was here to work and more like I was accompanying Su Zixuan on vacation. As I went downstairs, I noticed that the colleagues who had left earlier were also seated at the dining table. It seemed like everyone was waiting for me. I apologized to everyone, feeling a bit embarrassed. "Sorry, everyone, for keeping you waiting." A male colleague quickly waved his hand. No, we're the ones disturbing President Lu's rest." Su Zixuan impatiently patted the table. Let's eat." Then, she picked up a piece of pork rib and placed it in my bowl. "Quick, try it. I just learned how to make this." I had barely sat down when her sudden action startled me so much that I almost got up and left. The colleagues around us tacitly lowered their heads and continued eating, but this only made me feel even more awkward. However, seeing the starry sparkle in Su Zixuan's eyes, I couldn't bring myself to refuse. I had no choice but to brace myself and pick up the rib to take a bite. How is it? Is it good? Is it good?" Su Zixuan eagerly asked, looking as if she were waiting for praise. Her casual, unbothered demeanor made me feel extremely uncomfortable. I could only awkwardly say, "It's okay, just a bit salty." In reality, that single bite felt less like eating pork ribs and more like swallowing a big chunk of salt. I'm a bit suspicious. Do wealthy families get salt for free? If it's delicious, eat more. Su Zixuan placed a few more pieces of spare ribs into my bowl. I remained silent. I felt like I was about to die during that meal. 28. Fortunately, after Su Zixuan had eaten a rib herself, she stopped putting more in my bowl and quietly pulled the ribs closer to herself, but that meal completely misled the surrounding colleagues about the relationship between the two of us. After the meal, one of my colleagues approached me, smiling as he asked, Mr. Lu, did you enjoy the food? I was gulping down water when I heard this, my face turned green, and after holding it in for a long moment, I managed to force out a smile that was even more miserable than crying. It was quite good. My colleague was startled by my appearance. What's wrong, Mr. Lu? Are you feeling unwell somewhere? No, I'm just a bit thirsty. I just wanted to quickly get rid of this person, as the overly salty taste still lingered in my mouth. Just then, Su Zixuan walked over with a bottle of water. Here, drink more. I nodded awkwardly. Thank you. Seriously, if it doesn't taste good, just say so. I thought you liked it. Su Zixuan completely ignored her colleague who was making suggestive gestures beside her and reached out to grab my arm. Come on, let's go out for a stroll. I haven't seen the night view here yet. I was just about to refuse when my phone in my pocket suddenly rang. Glancing at the caller ID, I furrowed my brows and hung up with a swipe, but the caller was persistent, calling again the very next second. I hung up again, but they kept calling. It seemed they wouldn't give up until I answered the phone. Just as I was about to turn off my phone, Su Zixuan suddenly came over. Who is it? Before I could even speak, Su Zixuan had already naturally taken the phone from me. Hello? Who is this? On the other end of the line, upon hearing Su Zixuan's voice, Jiang Yan's expression instantly twisted, and she almost screamed in accusation. You bitch, why are you holding Ziming's phone? Su Zixuan held the phone away with a look of disdain, waiting for her to finish scolding before impatiently speaking up. You're really annoying. We're in the middle of something important and don't have time to deal with you. Something important? What important thing? What important thing could a man and a woman be doing alone together late at night? Countless unbearable images flashed through Jiang Yan's mind. No matter which it was, it made her feel extremely uncomfortable. There was definitely something wrong between Lu Ziming and that woman. You bitch, if you dare to set your sights on my husband, I'll never let you off. 29. Su Zixuan showed no fear at all. Sorry, ex-wife, you won't be his husband anymore soon. Whether I have my eye on him or not is none of your business. You, a worn-out shoe who cheated during marriage, have no right to boss me around here. Hurry up and hang up. I'm annoyed just hearing you speak. With that, Su Zixuan directly hung up the phone, then quickly turned it off, giving Jiang Yan no chance to go berserk. Here, your phone. Seeing her look of pure satisfaction, I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Are you that happy? Of course I is. Su Zixuan snorted lightly. You're just too soft-hearted. There's no need to accommodate such a woman at all. I didn't respond. After a long silence, I softly uttered a sentence. Thank you. I was truly grateful to Su Zixuan. We had only crossed paths briefly, yet they were willing to repeatedly shield me from those unpleasant things, no matter what her intentions are. I must say this thank you. Su Zixuan silently shook her head, as if something was weighing on her mind. The two of them strolled quietly through the garden outside the villa. I'm not sure how much time had passed when I heard Su Zixuan softly say, if I had known it would turn out this way, I should have pursued you from the start. What did you say? I hadn't quite caught what she said. Nothing. Su Zixuan waved her hand and changed the subject. By the way, were you dating that woman back in college? Yes, I nodded. Actually, I wasn't really in the mood to talk about my past with Jiang Yan, but Su Zixuan seemed quite interested, asking me question after question from beside me. Suddenly, Su Zixuan stepped in front of me, her eyes faintly shimmering with light. You know what? I actually go to the same university as you. I was somewhat surprised. Really? Su Zixuan didn't speak. Instead she began recounting amusing stories from her time at university. At first, I listened with great interest, but as she went on, I started to feel something was off. You were in the same department as Jiang Yan. 30. Su Zixuan fell silent. After a long while, she finally spoke slowly. Do you know, Ziming, I actually regret it a lot. I clearly liked you a lot, but because you were deeply in love with that Jiang Yan, I got angry and chose to study abroad. When I came back, I heard that you were already married. I thought we would never have a chance to meet again, until one day my dad mentioned you. It turns out that all these years, you've been living so restrained and unhappy, even unable to care for your own future. Su Zixuan spoke earnestly. It was me who asked Dad to transfer you here. You have no idea how happy and heartbroken I was when I found out you were getting a divorce. Her face was filled with grievance and bitterness. I was stunned. I even felt my brain was somewhat frozen. Su Zixuan's sudden confession struck me as somewhat absurd. Zixuan, are you running a fever? I even reached out to touch Su Zixuan's forehead. What are you doing? Su Zixuan pouted and brushed my hand away. I'm not sick, and I haven't had too much to drink. I like you. I always have. She had missed her chance many years ago. This time, she didn't want to miss it again, especially with Jiang Yan's repeated entanglements. Su Zixuan felt a deep sense of crisis. She was well aware of how deeply I loved Jiang Yan back then. She couldn't be sure whether the two of them would get back together. That's why she took the initiative to propose a business trip, taking me away from Jiang Yan's side. Although men are rational, when faced with someone they love, they can become exceptionally emotional. I am very likely to soften my heart because of Jiang Yan's persistent persuasion. She selfishly hopes that I can divorce Jiang Yan. Facing my puzzled expression, Su Zixuan took a deep breath. Brother Zimming, I really like you, please give me a chance. Okay. 31. The humble tone made my heart ache. I was torn. I didn't know what to say. Su Zixuan suddenly gave my shoulder a hearty pat. Let's not talk about that anymore. Let's go for a stroll. I breathed a sigh of relief and hurried to follow her. Over the next few days, Su Zixuan took me around the villa area, showing me all sorts of places to visit, never mentioning work at all. Although this kind of life is quite comfortable, it leaves me with a vague sense of unease. But when I raised my doubts with Su Zixuan, she just shrugged it off with an indifferent expression. We're experiencing life, and that's part of the job too. Is this considered work? Seeing my confusion, Su Zixuan explained, this villa is the new project we're about to invest in. We're not here for leisure, we're experiencing it as guests. Seeing how serious she looked, I nodded, half convinced. In that case, all right then. A sly glint flashed in Su Zixuan's eyes. Then I'll leave it to you for the next few days. Please don't be so distracted. Our evaluations are crucial to whether this project can move forward. I suddenly felt the weight of responsibility on my shoulders. Don't worry, I'll evaluate it carefully. Days without work always seemed to pass particularly quickly. Before I knew it, the two of us had already spent more than half a month in the villa district. I even had a feeling that my professional skills had probably declined significantly during this period, and my movements had become somewhat stiff. It seemed I had been too idle for too long. By the way, should we head back? 32. I have never forgotten who I am, a working stiff. Su Zixuan was chewing on a steak and asked in confusion, what's wrong? Don't you like it here? Of course not. I shook my head. It's just that I feel like I've been staying here for too long, and I'm starting to feel like I'm wasting away. I'm still used to a busy life. Su Zixuan gave me a strange look, forked a piece of steak, put it in her mouth, and mumbled while chewing, you'll have plenty of days like this in the future. I didn't hear clearly and asked in confusion, it's nothing. Su Zixuan shook her head and placed a piece of steak on my plate on her own. Ever since she confessed her feelings to me, her actions have become increasingly bold. To outsiders unaware of the situation, they would likely assume we were a couple. I also tried to get Su Zixuan to tone it down, but she didn't care at all. I asked myself whether I was a normal man, faced with the advances of a woman like Su Zixuan, fair-skinned, beautiful, and lively. I couldn't completely ignore her. After finally enduring until the return trip, as soon as I got off the plane, I received a call from my boss. Xiao Jiang, you've worked hard these past few days, take a few days to rest, and we'll talk about the project after you've had a chance to recover. To be honest, I felt a bit nervous talking to the big boss. After all, during this time, I had almost become a couple with her daughter. Returning home and seeing the tightly closed door, I breathed a sigh of relief. It seemed Jiang Yan had already gone back. I had just opened the door when I saw Jiang Yan sitting on the sofa in an apron, watching TV with great interest. Upon seeing me, Jiang Yan immediately stood up excitedly. You're back. My good mood instantly vanished. Why are you still here, Jiang Yan looked aggrieved. I was waiting for you to come back. You didn't answer my calls, so I thought you weren't coming back. Whether I come back or not has nothing to do with you, right? I don't feel heartbroken at all. In the past, it was always me waiting at home for Jiang Yan to return. Now, it's just letting her occasionally experience what I went through. It's been a month. When are we going to get divorced? 33. Jiang Yan's face was pale. Do you really want to get a divorce, Zimming? We've been together for so many years. Can you really be so heartless? I just hope you'll give me a chance to love you again. I promise, I won't have any relationship with anyone else in the future. Okay, I had expected Jiang Yan wouldn't give up easily, but hearing her say these things again still made me feel irritated. Now that Jiang Yan keeps trying to win me back over and over, it only makes me feel disgusted. Don't waste your time. I've told you, there's no chance between us anymore. No matter what you say, I won't change my mind. Just give up. Jiang Yan looked unwilling. But why? There's no why, I said calmly. After being together for so many years, you shouldn't be so unfamiliar with me. I've always thought I've endured a lot over the years. The person I used to be truly considered spending a lifetime with Jiang Yan. That's why I chose to forgive again and again. That's why, amidst repeated hurts, I chose to endure. But after 5 years have passed, I've come to understand, Jiang Yan is not someone I can spend the rest of my life with. Perhaps the old Jiang Yan truly longed for a home, but once she had it, she would desire something else. Desperation flickered in Jiang Yan's eyes. She had always believed she understood me well enough. That's why she thought that as long as she lowered her head, the latter would inevitably choose to forgive. That's why, for so many years, she had been acting recklessly, completely disregarding my feelings, but my words made her realize that I truly no longer loved her. I insisted on getting a divorce, just as I had once married her without regard for anything else. I will not regret it, nor will I change my mind. I'm sorry, Zimming. I turned and walked away, but Jiang Yan suddenly rushed forward, tightly wrapping her arms around my waist from behind. I'm the one who should apologize. I'm sorry, honey. I should have paid more attention to your feelings. I promise I'll never be with Su Jiwen again. No, I'll make him resign tomorrow. Please don't leave. Okay. I didn't speak, just slowly and firmly moved her hand away. This wasn't the first time I had heard these words. When she first specially recruited Su Jiwen as her assistant, I was a bit concerned. After all, he was of the opposite sex, and the two of them would inevitably have too much contact during their daily work. At that time, Jiang Yan smiled and hugged me. Honey, are you jealous? Since you don't like it, I'll switch to a female assistant. Tomorrow, you are my husband, and no one can take me away from you. I was quite pleased with that. The reason our relationship has lasted all these years is because we speak our minds directly, without beating around the bush. Yet she did not keep her word. Instead, she brought Su Jiwen to our wedding anniversary. She said she thought Su Jiwen was capable, kind-hearted, and had no ill intentions. Oh, why are you getting so worked up over a child? Be more generous. In that moment, I was already filled with disappointment. When promises are not kept, there is nothing but disappointment. I didn't say much. Perhaps it was my silence that emboldened her even further. The relationship between the two grew increasingly intimate, even involving frequent physical contact. My heart also sank to the bottom of the valley day by day. I tried to talk to her about it. After all, the employees in the company were all watching this behavior, and there were all sorts of things being said behind the scenes, but my words always made Jiang Yan impatient. You know I don't like working. I finally hired an assistant who's fun to be around, and you're still nitpicking everything. Don't forget, this company is mine, and I can do whatever I want. For the sake of this family and our relationship, I chose to compromise. But the next time, when Su Jiwen had a problem at work, I had just called him into my office when Jiang Yan rushed over upon hearing the news. Why do you always target him? He's a newcomer, just starting out at the company. It's inevitable that mistakes will happen. Why do you keep harping on it? I couldn't help but counter. His job is the boss's assistant. If there's any oversight, it will affect the entire company. Jiang Yan looked disdainful. So what do you suggest? Fire him. Before I could even speak, Su Jiwen immediately bowed to me with a deeply aggrieved expression. I'm sorry, President Liu, I know you can't stand me. I'll submit my resignation report right away. Please don't argue with President Jiang. This display of submission instantly filled Jiang Yan with heartache, and she pointed at my nose, cursing me out. Do you only feel satisfied when you've driven someone to despair? It's already tough enough for Jiwen to come to this city alone to make a living. How can you have no sympathy at all? With that, she took Su Jiwen and left, and the matter was simply dropped. It was precisely because of such precedents that I had lost all trust in her. No need to apologize. From now on, we'll go our separate ways and each live our own lives. Hearing these words, Jiang Yan was stunned. Her face gradually turned as pale as snow, devoid of any color, and her voice trembled. What you're saying? Are you asking for a divorce? Looking at her reddened eyes, I felt no emotion stirring within me. Yes, I'll have someone prepare the divorce agreement later. You just need to sign it when the time comes. With that said, I turned and walked away. Husband. Behind me, Jiang Yan broke down in tears. I did not look back, nor did I hesitate. Between her and me, fate had already run its course. 34. That night, I received the file sent by Jiang Yan. Inside are the heavily redacted chat logs and voice messages, barely recognizable. Looking at those disjointed dialogues, I have no idea what she's trying to convey. Could it be that she intends to use these full of holes chat screenshots to tell me she hasn't cheated? I couldn't help but sneer. This kind of cover-up, so transparently obvious, wouldn't fool a child. After that, she sent many more photos. They were our previous group photos, photos from various time periods, during travel, at weddings, even photos from university days. Looking at the scenes from the past, my expression grew somewhat dazed. It turns out there was a time when she and I were so deeply in love. She would act like a little girl, snuggling in my arms and being coquettish. She would also throw little tantrums with me. On my birthday, she would personally cook, making a table full of colorful but questionable dishes. But no matter what, these are all beautiful memories. But unfortunately, things have changed, and people are no longer the same. Everything has already gone back to the way it was. I remained silent for a moment, deleting these photos one by one, since I've made up my mind to leave. There's no need to dwell on the past, it's meaningless, just a waste of time. When the lawyer sent me the divorce agreement, I called her. The divorce agreement is ready, I'll come to your company to see you. She didn't say anything, remained silent for a long time, and then hung up the phone. I looked at the divorce agreement. As I had requested, the lawyer had listed me as the party leaving with nothing. I want nothing, let it serve as a full stop to our love. I picked up the pen and wrote my name stroke by stroke. Throughout the process, scenes from the past kept flashing through my mind. The first time we met, the first time we hugged, the first time we kissed. I gave up my postgraduate recommendation for her, and she cursed me as a fool. By Jiang Mu's bedside, I solemnly promised her that I would love her for the rest of my life. As I finished the last stroke, a tear fell onto the paper, blurring the ink. I will preserve the beautiful parts of those past memories and discard the sorrowful ones, but I will not look back, nor can I. Everything should come to an end. I wiped the slightly moist corner of my eye, picked up the divorce agreement, and headed straight to Jiang Yan's company. Upon arriving at the company, Jiang Yan seemed to have been informed, so I encountered no obstacles along the way. When I arrived at the office, I took a deep breath and pushed the door open to go in. Jiang Yan was sitting at her desk. In just 3 days, she had become extremely haggard. It was as if she had become a completely different person. Seeing me, a pale face revealed a smile even more wretched than tears. You're here, I nodded, stepped forward, and placed the divorce agreement on the table. Take a look, and if everything is fine, please sign. Jiang Yan didn't look, her eyes slightly red, staring fixedly at me. Do we really have to go this far? You should know, I love you. I lowered my head, saying nothing. The facts are already established, there's no need to argue or make excuses. She may have truly loved me once, but that love had long since soured. Sign here. 35. There was no need to waste any more time. Jiang Yan's tears flowed uncontrollably as she almost trembled while opening the divorce agreement. Just as she was about to sign, the office door opened. He is the vice president of the company, President Jiang. That project, old Lu. He was pleasantly surprised to see me. That's great, you're finally back. That project has been giving me a headache. Hurry up, and I'm not here to resume my position. I cut myself off, then looked at Jiang Yan. Hurry up and sign. I still have an interview to go to. Jiang Yan took a deep breath and closed the agreement. I can sign, but you have to agree to one condition first. Condition? I frowned. I've already agreed to leave with nothing, and you still have the nerve to bring up conditions. Jiang Yan gritted her teeth. The project you previously negotiated is very important to the company. As long as you take responsibility for completing it, I will agree to the divorce and promise never to bother you again. After a pause, she added further, I can give you 10% of the project's profits. I nodded. All right, with things said this way, there was no reason to refuse, especially since I really needed the money. However, right after I nodded in agreement, Jiang Yan directly brought Su Jiwen in. Next, Jiwen will serve as your assistant and help you complete the project throughout the process. I looked at her calmly, and after a long moment, I gave a sarcastic smile. What, you want me to help you train someone? Jiang Yan lowered her head guiltily, stammering, you're resigning, so I need to leave someone capable in the company, right? Jiwen graduated from a prestigious school. As long as you don't intentionally hold back, he is sure to surpass his teacher. I shrugged and didn't dwell on the issue any further. Su Jiwen gave me a triumphant smile. General Manager Jiang, I look forward to your guidance. I didn't pay attention to myself, took the project materials, and turned to leave. 36. In the following days, I started to focus on the project. After all, it was originally taken over by me, so there was basically no difficulty. Su Jiwen, on the other hand, was quite proactive, bustling around me with an eager and humble demeanor. Although I had no idea what he was up to, I didn't hold back anything. It wasn't out of magnanimity, but simply because there was no need. She cried pitifully, looking utterly devastated. The day of the project launch arrived quickly. To enhance the company's reputation, Jiang Yan specifically invited prominent figures from the business world and hosted a banquet. The guests congratulated Jiang Yan one after another, toasting her with glass after glass. Jiang Yan didn't refuse any of them, and soon, her cheeks were flushed, her gaze hazy as she looked at me. Faced with the flattery from those around her, she shook her head. This is all thanks to my husband. She waved at me. Husband, come over here quickly. I frowned but did not step forward. Moreover, I noticed that Su Jiwen, who had been standing behind me all along, had disappeared at some point. A vague sense of unease crept into my heart. Sure enough, after the client representative took the project proposal, his expression changed. What's wrong? Jiang Yan asked with confusion. The representative from Party A twitched at the corner of his mouth, looking at Jiang Yan with a mocking gaze. I never expected that President Jiang has quite the wild side behind the scenes. But what exactly are you trying to express by including something like this in the project proposal? We're here to discuss a collaboration, not to admire your figure. Jiang Yan was dumbfounded. Not caring about the consequences, she snatched the project proposal and took a look, her face showing shock. Was there a problem with the project proposal? I furrowed my brow and stepped forward. I had compiled this project proposal myself, so logically, it shouldn't have had any errors, but as soon as I took a quick glance, I was stunned. On the very first page of the proposal, there was a photograph. The subjects of the photo were Jiang Yan and Su Jiwen, lying naked in bed together in an intimate pose that left much to the imagination. Before I could even figure out what was going on, Su Jiwen, standing beside me, suddenly pointed at my nose with a look of utter shock. President Liu, don't you think this behavior is too despicable? I know you're determined to divorce President Jiang, and you're jealous that I alone completed the project, but there's no need to use such dirty tactics to smear us, is there? How is she supposed to face people after this? Jiang Yan looked at me, her eyes filled with disappointment and anger. You actually, is it really you? Of course it's him, he was the one who compiled this project proposal, who else could it be? Su Jiwen glared at me, looking utterly indignant. I, as a senior employee of the company, can't believe you would mix personal matters with professional ones. Jiang Yan angrily questioned me. Why, you're deliberately retaliating against me, aren't you? Why waste any more words on him? Su Jiwen's face was filled with contempt. The relationship between me and President Jiang is just a normal superior-subordinate one. It's only because your mind is so dirty that you're full of suspicions. Not only do you want a divorce, but you also want to ruin President Jiang yourself. You're utterly heartless. President Jiang is such a wonderful woman, anyone who marries you must be blind. Jiang Yan could no longer hold back, throwing herself at me and pounding on my chest, but after just a few hits, her eyes rolled back and she collapsed to the ground, clutching her chest, her face twisted in pain. President Jiang, Su Jiwen hurried over to help her up, shouting loudly and ordering the security guards to throw me out. The others at the scene also looked at me with contempt in their eyes. Sigh, you can know a person's face but not their heart. Even years of marital affection can ultimately end up in this mess because of suspicion. Anyway, there's no excuse for using such methods to take revenge. It's too vicious. The security guard rushed over, but when he met my cold gaze, he dared not make a move. Su Jiwen shouted loudly, "What are you hesitating for? Hurry up and kick him out." I sneered, looking at him as if he were a clown. In this society, it's not about who shouts the loudest that makes them right. Are you so eager to throw dirt at me, feeling guilty? Su Jiwen's gaze flickered. What's there to be guilty about? Besides you, who else had the chance to get close to the project proposal and do something so despicable? I pulled out my phone. I'm also very curious, so I installed a surveillance camera in the office ahead of time. Let's check the footage now and see who it really was. 37. Su Jiwen panicked instantly and rushed forward, trying to snatch my phone from me. I kicked out, sending him sprawling to the ground. Even a fool in the crowd could tell what had just happened from that display. It's you. Jiang Yan's eyes were red as she stared fixedly at Su Jiwen. Su Jiwen waved his hands in a panic, saying, "Director Jiang, please, let me explain." Jiang Yan directly swung her hand, delivering a heavy slap across his face. "Throw him out for me." The security guard immediately restrained Su Jiwen. His eyes were filled with venom as he glared at me, gritting his teeth. "You've been guarding against me all along, haven't you?" I smiled faintly. How could there possibly be surveillance cameras installed in the office? It's just your own guilty conscience. Su Jiwen was stunned, and when he came back to his senses, his face flushed red with anger. I'm going to kill you." But the security guards beside him gave him no chance to struggle, forcibly throwing him out. I couldn't help but shake my head. This is probably what they call lifting a rock only to drop it on your own foot. Jiang Yan looked full of guilt. "I'm sorry. I shouldn't have doubted you." "No need." I sent the project files to her. "Remember to sign the divorce agreement. See you at the Civil Affairs Bureau at 9 tomorrow morning. My task is done, no need to waste any more time." Jiang Yan's breath caught, and after a moment of silence, she nodded. "All right." Jiang Yan finally agreed to the divorce. I immediately took leave from the company. Su Zixuan somehow got wind of it and came to my side before I set off. "Can I go with you?" I shook my head. "Farewell, I will return soon." Su Zixuan stared intently into my eyes for a long while before finally nodding. "All right." On the return flight, my emotions began to stir. It's not about lamenting anything, but rather feeling that I can finally break free from this heavy marriage. At the Civil Affairs Bureau, the moment I saw the official seal stamped, I suddenly felt much lighter, as if I had thrown off a heavy shackle from my body. At the entrance of the Civil Affairs Bureau, Jiang Yan held the divorce certificate, her expression somewhat dazed, as if she couldn't quite process it. At the entrance of the Civil Affairs Bureau, Jiang Yan was wearing a white dress, the one I gave her when we first got together. She always felt it was too plain and didn't like wearing it. Now that she's wearing it, the reason is self-evident. After receiving the divorce certificate, she gently hugged me. "Thank you, it's my fault, you deserve better." With that, she turned and walked away. I glanced at her retreating figure, then turned and left as well. 38. I can accept my failures in love, but I won't give up on my career just because of romantic setbacks. Perhaps this is also the reason for Jiang Yan's infidelity. After achieving success in her career, Jiang Yan's personality became eccentric. She loved the feeling of being in control of both people and things. That's why, when Su Jiwen, who always obeyed her every whim, appeared, she betrayed him without hesitation. After returning to the company, Su Zixuan was visibly delighted to see me and immediately organized a celebratory dinner with the heads of all departments. A colleague expressed confusion. Su Zixuan proudly placed her hands on her hips. "I'm in a good mood, so I want to celebrate. Is that not allowed?" She knew she shouldn't be showing it so obviously, but I got divorced, and she couldn't hide her joy. My colleagues immediately wore knowing expressions. "Looks like we're benefiting from Mr. Lu's influence." The gossip about the two of them had long spread throughout the company, with various versions circulating, more thrilling than a novel. Upon hearing this, everyone also started to join in the commotion. I quickly explained, No, it's because the previous project has made good progress, so it's worth celebrating, right, Assistant Lin?" Su Zixuan stuck out her tongue and said, "If you say so, then so be it. I'm just your little assistant, what say do I have?" At first glance, this statement seems harmless, but to my colleagues, it sounds like a dutiful wife agreeing with her husband. The teasing grew even louder. I felt completely overwhelmed. Is this girl always this bold? 39. Fortunately, everyone didn't dwell on that topic for too long. At the gathering table, as if they had planned it in advance, everyone took turns coming up to toast me. Considering that everyone here could be considered a senior, I couldn't really refuse. Soon, I began to feel dizzy. Su Zixuan sat beside me, smiling without saying a word. When the dinner ended, I could barely walk steadily. Su Zixuan supported me, her eyes showing struggle and hesitation. "Brother Zimming, you've had too much to drink." As she spoke, she signaled with her eyes for the others to leave first. I didn't say a word, just stared fixedly at her face. Su Zixuan's breathing grew somewhat rapid, and she hurriedly turned her head away, helped me into the car, and just as Su Zixuan was about to stand up, her arm was suddenly grabbed by me. She lost her balance and fell, landing on top of me. Their lips accidentally touched. They parted immediately. Su Zixuan was stunned, then snapped back to reality and stood up in a fluster, her cheeks flushed with embarrassment as she looked at me, drowsy in the car, and bit her lip. She took me back home. Early the next morning, I opened my eyes and stared blankly at the ceiling. It took a long time for me to shake off that hangover-like state. Pressing a hand to my forehead as I sat up, my head still felt a bit heavy. I rubbed my throbbing temples and was just about to take a look around when my fingertips suddenly brushed against something soft. I turned my head and was stunned. By my side, Su Zixuan lay naked in the bed, with tear stains still on the corners of her eyes. I sat up as if shocked by electricity, only to realize that I was just as naked. What had happened was self-evident. Su Zixuan had actually been awake for a while. She was now squinting her eyes, observing my reaction. Seeing the latter's tense expression, she couldn't help but chuckle inwardly. Slowly opening her eyes, she pretended to have just woken up. "Brother Zimming, you're awake." My expression was complicated. We last night, I was willing." Su Zixuan interrupted me, her cheeks flushed with embarrassment. "Last night, I took off my clothes myself, and I was also willing to have a relationship with you, even though I already knew what had happened." Hearing Su Zixuan say it out loud still left a bitter taste in my heart. "I'm sorry, I drank too much last night, it's okay." Su Zixuan's voice was very soft. "I told you, I did it willingly." 40. Su Zixuan looked up, meeting my gaze. "I like you, so when you were on top of me, I didn't want to resist. I wanted to give myself completely to you." I widened my eyes. I truly couldn't remember anything about last night, yet the two of us were indeed lying together completely naked. This was an undeniable fact. I believe I can resist temptation while fully conscious, but I don't believe my body will have no reaction when faced with provocation. Seeing that I wasn't speaking, Su Zixuan asked cautiously, "Are you angry?" "Angry?" I shook my head. "No, I just feel sorry for you." "It's okay, I don't think so." Su Zixuan got up and put on her clothes. "Wait a moment, I'll go make some hangover soup." "No need." I was about to stop her, but I didn't notice the stool at my feet, and my body lost control as I tumbled forward. Su Zixuan let out a startled cry and quickly lunged over. "Ouch!" The two of them fell together. I quickly got up, but Su Zixuan lay on the ground, her face pale and her teeth clenched tightly. Are you okay?" I quickly tried to help her up, but as soon as I moved, Su Zixuan let out a painful groan. I didn't dare delay and immediately called for an ambulance. In the ambulance, Su Zixuan instead comforted me with ease. Come on, being hospitalized by my own boss is an honor. Okay, I really couldn't bring myself to smile, so I just gently held her hand. When we arrived at the hospital, I saw a familiar figure, Su Jiwen. I stood at the entrance of the hospital, holding my phone, seemingly shouting something in accusation. What do you mean? I know I shouldn't have gone through your things, but why did you schedule an abortion? Are you really going to do this to me, sister? Hearing the word sister, I suddenly understood. It seems like she had a falling out with Jiang Yan. However, I didn't pay any attention to it, pretending not to see, and was about to leave with the medical staff. But Su Jiwen noticed me. Lu Ziming, she strode over. Stop right there. 41. I frowned, turned around, and said in a calm tone, what do you want? Su Jiwen gritted his teeth, his eyes filled with anger and hostility. You've already divorced Yan Yan, why are you still pestering her? I raised an eyebrow, somewhat puzzled as to why a mistress could be so arrogant in front of the former legal wife. Has society gone mad? I don't have time to bother with her. I didn't want to waste words. But Su Jiwen wouldn't let it go. If it weren't for you, why would she have aborted our child? That was the fruit of our love, and because of you, it won't even have a chance to be born. I roared in anger, leveling accusations. It seemed as though I were the one who had ruined their marriage. Passers-by around me also shot me hostile glances. I had no intention of getting involved, but since the other party was determined to make things difficult for me, I am not someone with a good temper either. Su Jiwen, when you were with Jiang Yan back then, didn't you know she had a husband? Even if you didn't know at the time, you must have found out over these past 2 years, right? But not only did you not break up with her, you actually enjoyed it and even got her pregnant. What right do you have to question me, the original spouse? What, you got my ex-wife pregnant with your child, and now it's somehow my fault? Now, it was Su Jiwen's turn to be scorned by everyone. Su Jiwen's face turned ugly, and he panted heavily as he argued irrationally. You're full of it, Yan. Yan and I are truly in love. It's people like you who are unloved, who are the third parties. Such outrageous remarks didn't even require me to refute them. The onlookers were the first to object. Today's young people have no shame at all. They destroy other people's families and act so self-righteously. Exactly. What about true love? Is destroying someone else's marriage considered true love? Truly shameful for men. It's scum like this that's messed up the social climate today. Su Jiwen's face turned pale, and he couldn't even find words to refute. I had nothing to say about it either. I never intended to stand on moral high ground and accuse Su Jiwen of anything from the start. It was Jiang Yan who failed to uphold marital fidelity. A woman like her, with both wealth and looks, could easily captivate a young man like Su Jiwen with just a flick of her finger. So, in a sense, Su Jiwen was also one of the victims. I didn't really want to cause him trouble. The reason this situation arose is that he brought the unpleasantness upon himself. Seeing more and more people gathering around, I prepared to leave, but Su Jiwen still didn't want to let me go. It's all because of you. Otherwise, how could I have become the other woman? I just appeared a little later than you, that's all. 42. I was almost laughing out of anger. Such remarks were shameless enough that I couldn't even find words to refute them. I lifted my leg to leave, but Su Jiwen rushed over like a madman and grabbed me. You're not allowed to leave. Go talk to Yan Yan, tell her to marry me and not to abort our child, or I'll keep pestering you. I frowned, trying to shake him off, but Su Jiwen held on tightly, showing no sign of letting go. My expression turned cold. My patience is limited. Let go. Impossible. Su Jiwen's face twisted into a ferocious expression. Call Yan Yan right now, or we'll be stuck here all day. I think there's something wrong with your head. I got angry and directly kicked Su Jiwen in the stomach. After he let go in pain, I warned him coldly, don't provoke me again. Next time, I'll call the police directly. Do you think Jiang Yan would accept someone who's been to jail? I wasn't bluffing him. Given Jiang Yan's current status and position, she would certainly not accept a future partner with a criminal record. Su Jiwen was stunned, standing there. He gritted his teeth, and after a long moment, finally raised his head. His eyes filled with pleading. Even if it's for the sake of the child, please help me this once. I promise I'll never come to you again. I kept a straight face, turned around, and walked away. The onlookers, finding the scene dull, muttered a few curses and then dispersed. Su Jiwen stood there, at a loss for what to do. More than losing his own child, he feared losing Jiang Yan as a source of funding. It is easy to go from frugality to luxury, but difficult to go from luxury to frugality. Accustomed to a life of luxury, he couldn't accept returning to the life of an ordinary person. Back at the hospital, Su Zixuan had already been taken to the ward. Seeing that my expression was off, she asked with concern, what's wrong? I put on a smile and said it was nothing. Then she picked up the lunchbox beside her. I just bought this outside. After all the commotion, Su Zixuan hasn't had a drop of water yet, do you want me to feed you? Otherwise, Su Zixuan raised her hand in a cast. You need to take full responsibility. 43, I shrugged and didn't refuse, but this feeling made me feel a bit uncomfortable, especially when Su Zixuan deliberately bit down on her chopsticks with a mischievous grin, refusing to let go. If you keep this up, I won't feed you anymore. I deliberately put on a stern face. Su Zixuan quickly spat out the chopsticks. I'm sorry, I just didn't want you to feel so awkward. My hand paused, and I suddenly felt a pang of guilt inside. After all, Su Zixuan was injured because of me. I was just feeding her, yet she was being so coy. It hardly seemed manly. I'm sorry, it's my fault. I steadied my mindset and used chopsticks to pick up some food, offering it to Su Zixuan's lips. The latter, however, made no move, just staring straight at me. Do you not like me? Su Zixuan's eyes were slightly red. For the first time, she, who had always been lively and cheerful, showed such a wronged expression. For a moment, I didn't know what to say, but I knew that saying anything hurtful now would be a despicable act. Seeing me hesitate, Su Zixuan's eyes flickered with a hint of disappointment, but soon, she raised a smile. It's okay, I like you, and that's my own business. I shouldn't make you feel pressured. Her bright smile somehow made my heart ache faintly, and even my hands trembled slightly. Helpless, I could only quickly change the subject. Let's eat quickly, the food is getting cold. Su Zixuan nodded obediently, but in her heart, she was already scheming about how to win over this stubborn donkey. According to the doctor's instructions, Su Zixuan needed to stay in the hospital for observation for a while. Naturally, I became the one to accompany and care for her. The question of where to sleep became a problem. The hospital ward did have peihu beds, but my height made it impossible to squeeze in. Su Zixuan saw this and felt a pang of sympathy. Why don't you come to my side, and I'll sleep over there? I immediately refused. How could it be that the patient sleeps on the companion bed while the caregiver sleeps on the hospital bed? That would be completely upside down. But you can't keep feeling this uncomfortable every day, it's bad for your back. Su Zixuan bit her lip. Why don't you go back? I'll be fine on my own. You can just come back during the day. I still refused. I can't leave you alone in the hospital. Then, Su Zixuan shifted her body to the side. You're going to sleep with me. 44, her cheeks flushed with an unnatural redness, complementing her current somewhat sickly demeanor. It was practically inviting someone to commit a crime, yet her gaze was very serious, with no hint of joking at all. This doesn't seem quite right. Su Zixuan pouted. Then you choose, either go back, or sleep with me. I'd rather sleep on the companion bed. No way. I felt somewhat helpless. After a long while, I finally nodded. The patient bed was much wider than the accompanying bed, but it still wasn't wide enough to fit two people. As soon as I got on, the two of us were almost pressed tightly together. Almost instinctively, I shifted my body to the side. Su Zixuan covered her mouth and giggled. If you move any further, you're going to fall off. My back stiffened, and I cleared my throat before speaking. It's fine, the bed is still quite big. My words lacked much conviction. After all, I was usually hanging in midair. Just then, Su Zixuan suddenly used her healthy hand to pull my body forcefully. Just come over and sleep. It's not like we haven't slept together before. Her voice carried a hint of coquettishness, and I could only feel my heart racing. But worried that Su Zixuan might injure her hand again, I could only comply and shift further inside. The lights went out, and in the darkness, the two of them could only hear each other's breathing. Suddenly, Su Zixuan pulled my hand, placed it under her head as a pillow, and then spoke with satisfaction. Go to sleep. My body stiffened, and I dared not move, afraid of hurting Su Zixuan. But in the latter half of the night, I couldn't control my drowsiness and fell into a deep sleep. Early the next morning, I felt a faint itch in my nose. I raised my hand to scratch it, paying it no mind, but soon, that itching sensation returned, accompanied by a low chuckle. I opened my eyes and saw Su Zixuan standing in front of me, tickling her nose with the ends of her hair. Seeing me wake up, Su Zixuan quickly dropped the hair and lowered her head, looking somewhat guilty. After silently cursing myself for being such a heavy sleeper, I got up and said apologetically, I'm sorry. It's fine. Why are you apologizing? Su Zixuan smiled and shook her head. I should be thanking you from last night. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have slept so comfortably. 45, my face flushed, and I coughed a few times awkwardly, not responding. Such a reaction naturally prompted Su Zixuan to let out a string of silver bell-like laughter. I fled in embarrassment, only returning after buying breakfast downstairs. Time passed quickly in the hospital, and the two of us hardly exchanged many words, aside from Chatting during meals, Su Zixuan spent most of her time idly playing games on her phone. I have to admire that, playing games with one hand. What kind of electronic spirit is this? In the evening, Su Zixuan suddenly raised a thorny question. I want to take a shower. I was dumbfounded. Her hand was still in a cast, so it was definitely impossible for her to shower on her own, but I couldn't just go and help her shower, could I? But Su Zixuan seemed to do it on purpose, blinking her eyes. Can you help me? I was about to refuse almost immediately. This isn't about trading a meal for clothes, it's a bath, a naked one. Seeing that I didn't say anything, Su Zixuan urged. Oh, stop dawdling, you've seen it before. My face flushed, but I finally nodded and agreed. In the bathroom, I was at a loss for what to do, but this was a mess of my own making, and I had to clean it up myself. Help me take off my clothes, Su Zixuan urged. I took a deep breath and unbuttoned my hospital gown. I have to admit, Su Zixuan has developed quite well. The cleavage in front of her chest was deep and unfathomable, while her waist was slender enough to be held in one hand. Without a trace of excess fat, I felt my body starting to grow restless. I quickly averted my gaze. Seeing me like this, a mischievous glint flashed in Su Zixuan's eyes. Finally, when it came to taking off her underwear, Su Zixuan herself began to feel shy. I'll handle the underwear myself, wait for me outside. I let out a sigh of relief and hurried away as if fleeing. Listening to the sound of water flowing in the bathroom, I placed my hand on my rapidly beating chest and couldn't help but scold myself for being so cowardly. The girl was so graceful and composed, what was there to be so shy about? But not long after, Su Zixuan's voice suddenly came from the bathroom. I accidentally got the hospital gown wet. Could you help me get a new set? 46. At first, I didn't think much of it, but when I stood at the bathroom door holding the new hospital gown, I was a bit dumbfounded. How should I give it to her? Shall I? I'll put it at the door for you. The bathroom door opened a crack, and a steaming, snow-white jade hand reached out, handed to me. I stepped forward. Even though I had tried my best to avert my gaze for a moment, I still caught a glimpse of the snowy white inside through the crack in the door. Hurry up and give it to me. Have you seen enough? Su Zixuan's teasing words snapped me back to reality, and I quickly handed the clothes over. After a while, Su Zixuan draped herself in the hospital gown, revealing the snowy white of her chest. Help me fasten the button. I stepped forward, moving carefully, afraid of accidentally touching the fullness of her chest. Seeing me so nervous, Su Zixuan couldn't resist teasing. Come on, Zimming, you're still shy at your age. I grew even more nervous and shot her a glare. What does age have to do with it? Huh? You're still mad even after I've seen everything. Su Zixuan's smile grew even more mischievous. This also sparked a flicker of anger in me, and I retorted irritably, seeing but not touching. Of course I'm mad. Su Zixuan's face flushed red, but she straightened her chest and retorted stubbornly, then why don't you touch it? Of course, I couldn't actually make a move, but Su Zixuan took a step forward instead. Caught off guard, the back of my hand still brushed against that astonishing softness. I pulled my hand back as if shocked by an electric current. Disappointment flashed in Su Zixuan's eyes. Brother Zimming, you're already divorced, aren't you willing to consider me? But I just got divorced. I was just about to explain when Su Zixuan suddenly stepped forward, rose on her tiptoes, and kissed my lips. I instinctively tried to push her away, but afraid of hurting her, I could only stand there dumbfounded. Su Zixuan's lips were cool and soft. She kissed me passionately, murmuring softly in my ear, Brother Zimming, please don't push me away again. I don't want to miss out anymore. My mind suddenly felt a bit chaotic. This ambiguous atmosphere easily makes people lose their clarity of mind. So when Su Zixuan asked, will you be my man? I actually nodded without realizing it. Coming back to my senses, I felt both excited and somewhat relieved. It's fine, a failed marriage hasn't stripped me of my ability to love. 47. Time flows by like water. After the divorce, Jiang Yan never appeared again. I gradually forgot about her. My relationship with Su Zixuan progressed quickly. She is a very good girl. She is not in a hurry to demand a formal status. Instead, she takes care of me and accompanies me in a gentle, subtle way. This kind of ordinary, peaceful life actually makes me feel secure at heart. I take her traveling everywhere, to appreciate those sights we have never seen before. We fully enjoy the feeling of being in love. Just as we set our new destination, Jiang Yan was sitting alone in her office, flipping through the documents in her hand. Sunlight fell on her face, yet it couldn't dispel the gloom between her brows. The secretary knocked on the door and reported softly, President Jiang, we've found several candidates who meet the criteria you're looking for. Come in. Jiang Yan didn't even lift her head. The secretary finally pushed the door open, set the documents down, and then stood quietly by the side. Everyone knew that this boss was unpredictable in her moods. Her previous assistant had been fired without reason and subjected to a blacklist, making their plight utterly miserable. Jiang Yen took the documents, but showed little interest. She picked up a cigarette and lit it. She used to hate smoking, but at some point, she herself became addicted to smoking. Besides that, she couldn't think of any other way to relieve her depression. After the divorce, she began to feel an inner emptiness. Instead of reaching out to Lu Ziming after the initial despair, she sought out men who resembled him and were of a similar age. Many who knew her assumed she couldn't accept the reality of the divorce and was looking for a substitute to comfort herself. Yet even when someone fitting the criteria appeared, she didn't form any deep connections with them. It seemed as though she was merely passing the time. Gradually, she began staying up late frequently, and even when she was awake, her state was far from normal. The number of cigarettes she smoked daily increased from 1 pack to 2. Her friends tried to advise her, but she simply wouldn't listen. She even wondered, if she died, would Lu Ziming come to see her one last time? My friend couldn't stand it and suggested contacting Lu Ziming, but Jiang Yen shook her head and refused. She knew very well that everything that had happened now was the result of her own actions. If she hadn't done such things back then, everything wouldn't have turned out like this. 48. They say time is the best medicine. On New Year's Day a year later, Jiang Yen set foot in Lu Ziming's former room for the first time. As per her instructions, the room had been regularly cleaned by dedicated staff. Even the smallest trinket has never strayed from its original place. The room still retains traces of the past, as if Lu Ziming had never left. Jiang Yen picked up the broom and personally cleaned the room. Just then, a letter arrived from outside the door. Jiang Yen didn't pay much attention at first, but when she saw the sender's name, her pupils slightly contracted. The content of the letter was simple, just a short sentence, yet Jiang Yen stood there foolishly, as if she had lost all her strength. The butler came over and, seeing her standing at the door, didn't dare to disturb her rashly. It wasn't until she came to her senses that she cautiously asked, "President Jiang, are you all right?" Jiang Yen shook her head, then gently folded the letter and photograph in her hands, as if afraid of damaging them. The photograph hung slightly askew, and from the butler's vantage point, the subjects inside were clearly visible. Lu Ziming and Su Zixuan, dressed in matching couple outfits, stood close together, with fireworks and the vibrant atmosphere of spring in the background. The butler had also heard the story of Jiang Yen and Lu Ziming, and upon seeing this photo, his emotions grew somewhat tense. Yet Jiang Yan's demeanor remained perfectly normal. He's doing very well, that girl loves him very much, they're getting married. She was as if informing someone of something, yet also as if warning herself. Lu Ziming was living well. There was no need for her to disturb him. It had been a year, and she still thought she had truly moved on. As if all her strength had been drained, Lu Ruyan reached out to support herself on the edge of the table. Sitting rigidly on the sofa, she looked at Lu Ziming's photo, wanting to force a smile, but found herself utterly unable to do so. In the end, she simply raised her hands to cover her face, her shoulders trembling slightly. The butler quietly slipped away. Jiang Yen sat motionless for a long time, and as the hours blurred together, she seemed to see Lu Ziming push open the door and step inside, offering her a gentle smile. But when she reached out her hand, she realized that everything was merely an illusion. The letter was simple in content: "Stop torturing yourself, live well, and Happy New Year." After an unknown amount of time, Jiang Yen took out paper and pen and wrote a brief reply: "Happy wedding, Lu Ziming.